What's up? Welcome to Lacrosse Now. Pre-game, we're getting you ready for the final CAA women's game of the week of the regular season. Hofstra heading to Delaware this afternoon. Opening draw in a couple of minutes. But interestingly enough, no matter what happens this afternoon, the bracket for the CAA women's tournament already set for next week. Here is what it looks like. This is all thanks to Elon's win over William & Mary last night. The Phoenix locked in now as the 4 seed. They'll play top seed James Madison in one semifinal next Friday. In the other semi, 2 seed Towson takes on 3 seed Hofstra. So the Pride know they will play the Tigers next Friday after closing out the regular season here this afternoon. If you haven't seen this Hofstra Pride team play yet this year, just a heads up, you're most likely going to see and hear a lot from Alyssa Perella early and often. Last weekend, she scored 13 combined goals in 2 games, 7 in the loss to Towson, 6 more in the win over Delaware. She's now 3rd in the country in points per game with 5.8, and she leads the nation in goals per game entering this weekend. And as just a junior, she's broken the Hofstra career points record already, 249 points, something she accomplished against Delaware. Remember, she has another year plus to play in her career. She's just 1 goal shy of the career goal record at 183, and she's first in single season goals, 78 so far this year. The old record was 57. She's also set the single season points record at Hofstra, now with 93 points. The old record was 81. Let's hear from the record-breaking scorer.
Yeah, I think it's really just putting everything together and making sure the little mistakes don't happen. I think that towards the beginning of the year, those little mistakes, they're okay to happen and we grow from them. But at this point, it's the little things have to be done correctly. And I think we've been working with that during practices a lot, making sure the little things are happening correctly, making sure we're not making the same mistake twice. And I think going into a game that's going to be tough and going into the CAA play, when those little things do happen, we got to move on for them, keep our heads up, and really move forward and pick it up for the next couple of games.
So we'll see what Perella can do here in her final regular season game. I'll be back at halftime with updates from around the country, but for now, we send you to the land of cheesesteaks. Tom Eschen and Liz Robertshaw on the call.
Lax Sports Network is proud to present the CAA Game of the Week. Today, the final game of conference play in the CAA here at Vitus Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Hofstra Pride visiting the Drexel Dragons right here on Lax Sports Network. And to get you started here this afternoon in Philadelphia, let's take a look at the updated CAA standings as we speak. The top 4 teams in the conference are set. So the conference tournament field is set as well with those top 4 teams. JMU is going to take on Elon in the first round, and then Towson and Hofstra will also play in a CAA semifinal. Those games right here on Lax Sports Network. Tom Eschen, Liz Robertshaw here for you guys this afternoon. And it's an intriguing game. You know, Hofstra we know is already locked in, and Drexel playing for maybe some bigger reasons into the future too this afternoon. Yeah, I'm excited about this game because you have 2 teams that are both hungry for a win. Hofstra, they're going to use this game as a tune-up. They have a big rematch coming up against Towson next week. They need to go into it feeling confident, and they're going to do that, you know, with a good game today. So they want the win. On the flip side, Drexel season ends today, but in talking with their coach, there's no way they're thinking that way. They want to build for the future. So they want to come out strong, they want to come out hungry, and they want this win to show everyone they can do it, and to be honest, to show that they can do it to themselves. So I think you're going to see a great game between 2 good teams. It's going to be competitive, I think, yes, to say the least. And those are great reasons to watch, but I think another one, if you guys want to tune in all day long, is Alyssa Perella. She leads the nation in goals per game. So many huge names at that list, but she is at the top, so she is definitely going to be a treat for sure. Let's take a look at some of the accomplishments she's already had this year and throughout her career at Hofstra. She's already broken, in just her junior season, the Hofstra career points record. She has 249, the previous record, 247. She's also first in single season goals. She has 78 this year. The previous high before that, 57. That's smashing the record. And also single season points. She has 93 this year. The previous record was 81. And a good reason to watch today, she's just 1 goal shy of the career goals record of 183. She has 182 this year. Liz, what makes her so special?
she can do everything on the field. She can score, she can go from dodges, she can go from cutting. You know, she's great at inside handles. She's a spark and she's a playmaker. So she's the kind of kid that on the field, she wants the ball in her stick, and when she has it, something great is going to happen. You can see it already this year for Hofstra. And as only a junior, that's really impressive and something I know Coach Smith is going to be excited for the future.
And speaking of Coach Smith, there she is right there on the field right now, and she can score in her own right. We've known that from her time at Northwestern. But at the same time, she's very impressed with Perella, saying that, quote, Perella has the quickest first step I've ever seen, which is kind of impressive.
Yeah, to be honest, knowing Shannon, any compliment you're going to get out of this coach, you've earned it, and I think it's so impressive. It just speaks volumes of Alyssa Perella and what she feels this kid can do. I'm looking forward to watching her play today, and even more so next weekend in the tournament, because she is dynamic. She's a goal scorer, and she's leading this team as just a junior.
I mean, I think the fact that she's a junior is one of the most impressive parts. An impressive junior class at that at Hofstra. And Perella with an opportunity today, as we talked about some of those records a moment ago, but even some CAA records are at liberty of falling, and she's moving up those career lists. Some of these records in the CAA haven't been touched in about more than 10 years.
Yeah, the fact that she is breaking these records as a junior and in a conference that has just produced such great attacking threats, it does again speak volumes for her, for the program, what Coach Smith has done there at Hofstra.
You see some of the starting lineups being announced there on the Drexel side of things. This group coached by Jill Batchelor, and you know they sort of have a transformation, I want to say, over the course of the season. It's Jill's first year, and coming over from a school in Bryant where she helped rebuild that program, she's looking to do the same thing here too.
She knows how to do it. She's a coach that really harps on the fundamentals, but at the same time, she gets a team to believe in themselves. That is her core principle, her number one thing when she goes into any program. Having watched Bryant transform into an NCAA caliber team, gritty, tough, they'll score goals on you, they'll run you up and down a field. I expect nothing less of her time here at Drexel, and they've already started to make that transition this year, and I know they're looking to do it in the future.
Yeah, I think the future, the big thing for Drexel today. We know they can't make the tournament, but that doesn't matter, it seemed to them. From talking all week long, even when there was a chance if Elon had lost last night, they said this is about more than just that. And you mentioned Coach Batchelor at Bryant. I mean, she spent 6 years there, 3 NEC titles, a bunch of regular season titles, so her pedigree is nothing to be scoffed at, and something that she's really bringing as a hometown kid in Philly, which she's thrilled. I talked to her yesterday. She's thrilled about just being home and being able to have family members out at the game. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's a Philly pride kind of kid. I know from being in the area. She's excited to be back for her family and have all that support. And I know how big of a deal this game is, but also how big of a deal it will be to transform Drexel into that national caliber team.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. You see the teams getting ready here, and the pump-up speeches before the game. Take me inside that huddle, Liz. What's going on right now?
Well, right now you have Maddie Lesher, assistant coach, played at Loyola, great player, great defender. She's a great hype person, and I just think that's a situation, trying to talk them through it. But I think for every coach and every player, it's enjoy the moment. You know, it's a beautiful day down there in Philly. It's one of those situations you're playing with your best friends. It's senior day for Drexel. And again, they've talked about believing. And they said they felt that way in Towson, and they had a tight game against them. And I think they really want this game. They want to show that they can compete at this level, that they can make the tournament. I know that's a goal for the future. And it's just enjoy the moment, enjoy the time with your friends here, and enjoy what you've worked for the past 9 months.
Yeah, 4 of Drexel's 5 conference games have all been decided by 2 goals. They won one of them. You know, they're 1-4 in conference play. They won that by 2 goals, and 3 of them they lost by 2 goals. So you know they compete, and a lot of those games went down to the last few minutes. So you know they're going to compete today. I think that's the most important thing to take away from this. And you look at Hofstra now, and it's not just about Alyssa Perella, but let's get to the draw control circle that's going to start this game here, because it's quite the matchup with Carson Harris for Drexel, and then on the other side, it's Darcy Smith. Darcy Smith leading the CAA in draw controls. Carson's at 3. She has the all-time single-season record at Drexel for draw controls, and that's a matchup we're going to be watching all day, too.
I'm excited to see these two battle it out. 104 draw controls for Darcy Smith of Hofstra, and then you're looking at 87 from Carson Harris. These are not small numbers. It's going to be a battle. We've already talked about it previously this year. what a gritty and tough conference this is in the CAA, and it starts at the draw circle, and you're going to see that today between these two teams.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting matchup and might determine some of the flow of this game and some of the runs that might happen. So you might see some streakiness, or you might see some back and forth play, depending on how each athlete sort of takes this on, and in terms of how they approach this game. So looking forward to the start here as you take a look at the goalie there on the Hofstra side of things. Jess Smith, cousin of the coach Shannon Smith. They've got, I'm sure, a unique relationship all in the family there as we get set for the first draw control of the game. The men's game had just finished up about 30-45 minutes ago here with Drexel and Towson. Tigers coming out on top of that one. And we have begun here from Vitus Field. 67 degrees. It's a sunny, beautiful day for lacrosse. Late April, which is beautiful. We're finally here. About 20-mile-per-hour winds or so throughout the game, so that might be something to watch as well. As it is Hofstra who takes over possession to start this one.
Hofstra's going to get some touches, see what kind of defense Drexel's throwing at them, how they want to set up right now. You can see them getting into formation. And I just think, again, one of the big things Drexel wants to do, they need to make some big stands early. They've commented they've made some slow starts.
There is Perella who takes a shot right there, right off your mouth there, yeah. Liz. Perella starts the game with a goal, 1-0 Hofstra.
That was not necessarily the start I think Coach Batchelor wanted right there, but exactly what Hofstra wanted. Perella, it's in her hands. She gets her hands free, and she's going to take shots. I think both teams know that. Drexel just needs to step up and kind of and get in her hands and not allow her to take those early shots.
And we talked about it to start the broadcast. Perella has now tied the career goals record in Hofstra program history as just a junior. She was 1 goal shy coming into the game. Now she has 183 career goals in her career. So congratulations to Alyssa for tying that as just a junior. One of many records, one of 4 she's already set in the single season and career this season. And maybe she's got some CAA records to eye the rest of this game as well.
And doing it in the first 43 seconds, not too shabby.
Pretty quickly, pretty quickly. And of all that, Hofstra takes a 1-0 lead and get off to a good start. And that is something that Jill Batchelor talked to us about, saying they need to get off to better starts for the Dragons on their side of things.
Yeah, they found themselves being a lot more reactive in games and getting in a hole 2-3 goals down, and they fought back, which she's very impressed with, but it's time for them to start fast. I think that was a nice draw control right there. They're going to look to push the pace a little bit. I know consistency on the attacking end was something that she mentioned they need to clean up just a little bit. So I think you're going to see some touches, but if I have to guess, I think they're going to be aggressive and they're going to go to cage hard. They're not just going to sit back and let this game pass them by.
Yeah, Hofstra probably playing a lot of zone in this game. That's what they're known for with Shannon Smith, but to see how they match up right now. There's Colleen Grady looking to get to the cage and deterred there by the nice slide. Maggie Stetson, the senior, on top, feeding it to O'Grady, getting it around the goal line, extending. Nice pass and shot there, but saved by Jess Smith.
That was a good look. I think that was good ball possession. They got the defense moving, and they got a look they wanted. I think the next step is finishing.
But Hofstra will take it the other way. Smith with a 9.66 goals against average this season as just a freshman coming into Hofstra. They do have a lot of youth, the pride on this team, and they've played pretty well so far this season with that youth by locking up that 3 seed in the CAA.
And that's got to be really exciting for Coach Smith looking forward, just knowing the amount of juniors and seniors that are coming next year that will be juniors and seniors to lead this team. I think that looks really great for her moving forward and how they want to move up the standings in the CAA.
Yeah, that junior class of Matera, Perella, and Darcy Smith, what a core to have, especially moving on to next season.
So solid.
Jarred loose there as we got about halfway through the possession clock here. Tom Essen, Liz Robertshaw here from Vitus Field in Philly on the turf. There's Perella once again streaking to the middle, looking for her shot. Well, Perella starting the game with a goal. Love it.
Great start for her. Exactly what she and the team all wanted.
15 seconds. 15.
Hear that right there. 15 seconds to go on the possession clock. Drexel sitting back and playing some tough defense there. There's Katie Whalen with a look, and Shot clock will reset. The officials were making a signal, so look, she got it on net in some way there.
Yeah, Hofstra did a nice job right there of working a little two-man game up top, working that screen, getting a good look on Cage. And I think you'll see a lot more two-man game. Right now you're seeing a little more isolation, drawing players away to give Perella a little more space.
And a lot of time with the clock here, too, after getting the ball back. And there is the shot, and bounces back off the post to Perella, who takes another look at it, and Hofstra has the backup with a couple of players back there.
Hey, run it again! Again!
Hofstra running through their sets here. Looks like they're sort of going with the same formula over and over again, with Perella up top and creating and looking for her shot early.
Yeah, you're seeing kind of this isolation with this cut coming from that wing. They're going to look for that feed if possible, right there, and then a rip.
Just as you said, and there is the score.
Alexa Matera.
It's Perella to Matera for the second goal of the game. 2-0 Hofstra.
Yeah, they set that up the one time prior with Jenna Budd. It's just really isolating a long-standing two-man game with a front door cut. You saw it 2 times. There's no slide that can get there, and you know you have a great feed, which this was, and Perella does that. It's a nice look on Cage.
Yeah, Perella feeding a little bit more here in the early going. She's got a goal and an assist. Matera second on the team in goals this year now with 38 on the season. So definitely a good second option, even if she's going to be one, with Perella obviously the first option for this Hofstra team as they take a 2-0 lead a little less than 5 minutes in. Nice start for Hofstra. Drexel has to dig themselves out of a little bit of a hole early here.
I think it'll be telling what happens on this draw control. They stay in that gritty team that they pride themselves on, because this is a team that's shown they won't go away. But as we talked about, they just can't get into a big hole. So they really need to go, get this ball, get down, have a good attacking set, look to put some points on the board, and make a stop against Hofstra on the defensive end.
The Hofstra once again gaining possession there. It was Haley Simpson going against Darcy Smith that time at the draw control, and it's Smith once again coming out on top, and a big reason why she's tops in the league and the conference and draw controls this season. Right now she's on pace to set the per game record at 6.5 draw controls a game in CAA single season history. So she's having a good season.
Yeah, this Hofstra team is doing a great job in the record books.
Katie Whalen
right
in
there.
front with the pass, and Hofstra gets another goal. This time, it's Erin Demick with the goal, her first of the game. The freshman out of Ellicott City, Maryland.
Hofstra's taking advantage right now of Drexel being behind their cutters. They can see that they're pulling them away. They're isolating a cut. You can see it right here, just a catch, turn, and shot. So just a little bit of miscommunication right there defensively, and they're behind someone. Anytime that happens, that feed's going to be wide open, and Hofstra's dangerous.
Yeah, Drexel decides to take a timeout to talk things over as Hofstra takes an early 3-0 lead. Drexel so far has 5 shots on goal. That just one, or excuse me, Hofstra has the 5 shots on goal. The Drexel's 1 at this point in the game. We just saw that Drexel had a good opportunity. They just haven't had the possession of the ball that much. So they got a little bit of break and to talk things over at this point, and we'll take an opportunity now as we head. We're right around the corner from the tournament here, the NCAA tournament. So let's take a look at the media poll from the Inside Lacrosse IL media poll here. Boston College still at the top. We saw them survive against Syracuse last night in that ACC tournament, Liz, and that game was incredible. I mean, Syracuse had the lead 13-10, something like that, really late, and BC really rallied and kind of showed, you know, what they're made of, and when they haven't had to do that too often this season, other than teams against a team like Syracuse.
They did, and they also showed the amount of people that can score for them. Having game-winning goals by by Taylor Walker, it's impressive. It doesn't have to be one of their top 3.
Yeah, they're top 3, the top 3 choices in the WPLL draft the other night, and they're all in the Tewaaraton the Tewaaraton nominees this year. I was looking at that rest of that poll. I mean, Stony Brook making that run pretty late here in the season has been impressive. They've rattled off a few in a row, and Duke, and you know, I learned they lost earlier today to North Carolina, but the win over Notre Dame helping their NCAA tournament chances as well.
I definitely think that's going to help put them over the hump and get them into that tournament, unless something drastic happens with these conference championships, which it can always happen.
You know, you've seen both teams, Hofstra and Drexel, play some decent out-of-conference opponents this year. Hofstra played USC, Maryland, and Johns Hopkins, and tested by them. I mean, they only lost to USC by 5, Maryland by 8. So, I mean, you know, Maryland's such a good team, and Hopkins by 4. So Hofstra tested themselves, and Drexel a bit too by playing Georgetown and Hopkins as well. They lost those games, but at the same time, it's always good to see these teams sort of get out of their conference and get those tests early so they can be ready for the conference season.
I think any coach is going to tell you they want to do that. You have 2 schools of thought. You can either make a little bit of a softer schedule and teach your team how to win, or you can go challenge yourself and be battle tested through fire, and I think both these teams have done it.
And overall this year, Drexel at 6-9, Hofstra at 10-6. So they've been able to get a couple wins along the way. And for Drexel, this is their last game, but for Hofstra, that could really help them when it comes to CAA tournament time against teams like JMU and Towson, and even Elon, who can be a fighter. Here's Whalen.
And that's something right there Coach Smith said. They've learned how resilient they can be, and they're going to look to continue doing it in the conference.
There's Perella. The shot's a little bit wide.
Great check by Rachel Warden.
Sister of Haley Warden of JMU fame.
That must be a little tough in the household.
Haley, the most outstanding player in the NCAA tournament last year during JMU's big run. Rachel's brother played lacrosse at Fairfield, and Alex as well played at Air Force. So all in the family there for Rachel Warden, the junior out of Glen Mills, Pennsylvania. 3-0, we're going to restart at the dot behind. That's Matera looking for a feeder and sort of slips on that turf behind the cage, and a opportunistic bounce for Drexel there. It gets a little bit of a break. They're going to get it in transition now and try to dig into this lead, with Hofstra leading 3-0.
Drexel really needs a good possession here. They need to get some touches on the ball. They need to give their defensive break. They've played pretty much 6 minutes of defense, so they need to get it down here, get a good look on cage again. We're looking for some nice finishes from Drexel. Hofstra wants to stifle them. You know, whether you can see it, it shows like a man. There's some early hedges, especially from Anna Kaufman, who goes. You can see right here we got some doubling going on. But I think that's just for Drexel to figure out where the openings are.
See that defense sort of suffocating in there right along the line. Drexel continues to move it and try to find the open player, and looks like we have a shooting space there.
Yep. Nice job by Drexel finding the skip past the opposite. Zones are going to flood the ball side. They're going to try to put pressure on the ball, and they did a nice job of finding the backside.
They had the opportunity there if it wasn't for the shooting space. So we will get a free position here. On the left hash, and going to the cage. And then another save there. Carson Harris with the opportunity, but Jess Smith, once again, her second save of the day, trying to clear it. A nice pickup there by, who else? Alyssa Perella, who gets pushed out of bounds, and Hofstra will take over. A little bit of physical play there, and we're going to get a card.
Cross check right there.
That's Rachel Warden, who's going to sit out for a little while, and Hofstra will take over a man up. Sort of a physical few seconds there at the midline. Be a dangerous use of stick there on Warden.
And I think that's the officials right here setting the tone early, that we're not going to allow this game to get out of control. We're going to protect the players and make sure we have a clean game.
So Hofstra takes over, a man up 3-0 here. A little more than 7 minutes into the game. Tom Esch and Liz Robertshaw here for you at Vitus Field in Philadelphia. Looking to add to that 3-0 lead. Offense isn't working well so far, as they've been really moving around and sort of facilitating things through, who else? Barella and Matera.
Hofstra showing some nice ball movement in their man up. They're pretty much playing a 3-2-2, 3 up top, 2 in the middle, cutting, looking for openings, 2 down low on the crease. So they're just trying to see where the 2v1 situation, backside,
there's a nice
right
pass
there.
from Perella over the Demick, and that's a goal. Falling backwards, Hofstra takes a 4-0 lead with the goal on the man up.
That was just really well executed by Hofstra. Great ball movement. They were patient. They didn't try to force any feeds into the middle, which is what a lot of teams try to do. And again, they're going to find that soft spot either on the crease of the elbow. They found it right there. Nice finish by Erin Demick. I mean, that's exactly textbook what you want on a man-up situation.
Another freshman for this Hofstra team finishing in front. And we talked about the youth earlier, and something that stuck out to me from what Shannon Smith said, she said they've really challenged them. They haven't babied freshmen like you might in the past. They've been pretty tough on them, and they've really stepped up. And they don't let the mistakes happen, knowing that they needed those freshmen to step up this year.
That'll just pay dividends in the postseason. I mean, it really will. If you allow freshmen to say, I'm just a freshman, I can't do it, they're going to do it in tough games and tight games at the end of the year. If you make them step up and allow them to make mistakes, allow them to learn from all those moments, the good and the bad, you're going to just find a great player at the end of the season.
Drexel's been running a few different players out there at the draw control to sort of try to mess with Darcy Smith a little bit here. That's Courtney Dietzel this time taking this one. She's got 13 draw controls on this season. She's been in there every so often. We knew they would sort of try to mix things up throughout the game and sort of keep them off guard. And I think both these teams sort of thought about that. But so far, Darcy Smith's been pretty solid in there. Getting herself. So Hofstra takes over here with a 4-0 lead, looking to add to that.
An offside violation, so you're going to reset on the shot clock. And again, I think what Drexel needs to make a stand here, really make a good stop, try to get down the other end. But right now, if you're Hofstra, they need to keep pushing. There can be absolutely no let up in their game because, again, this is a tune-up for next week, and they're going to want a fast start.
Yeah, taking on a good Towson team next week. There is Perella looking to make something happen once again. Finds in the middle, and it's another shot, and it's another score. Hofstra taking a 5-0 lead early here.
That was a nice handle by Jenna Budd inside, good finish. I mean, they're moving well, they're catching Drexel off guard, and a lot of miscommunication in their defensive slides. You're finding Hofstra players with a stick open, being able to showcase. And again, that's going to be really dangerous for this Hofstra team.
Yeah, we get another look at this one. Perella's doing a nice job of finding some of those players. Bud's second goal of the year thus far this year. She's come on a little bit later as a senior this season. She had a couple assists against Delaware and Towson last week. So being able to put one in the back of the net for Hofstra early in this one to give them a 5-0 lead.
I really like what Perella's doing. I like that she first play, she goes and takes a shot, score. From there on out, she's been looking for some nice feeds to show that she can do both. I would anticipate you're going to see some more goal scoring from her. She's going to come back now that the defense has to adjust to her feeding. You're going to see her take some more dodges, but she's doing an excellent job to lead this team so far.
She's taking what the defense gives her,
Yep.
and she's got 3 assists so far in this game. So already padding that box score and adding to her multiple records that she set this year.
She's very, very impressive.
Single season points record in the CAA, Liz, is 112. She has 96 right now through 16 games. So
They keep rolling.
Yeah,
I think she could take that down this year.
I mean, she's had a couple of big games the last couple of weeks, and give her a couple of big games,
Right
and there she is once again. It's Perella, 6-0 Hofstra. Perella with 2 goals early. She's got 5 points in the first 10 minutes of this game. That's a school record, 183 goals in her career.
And we're not even 10 minutes into this game. I think this game could really, if she keeps going the way she's going, she's going to break even a single game point record. So she's doing a really great job. Again, second dodge. Drexel didn't send that slide, which I think is dangerous against a player like Perella, but they've also gotten beaten a couple feeds, so I can see where they're hesitant. But that's something that they're going to have to, Drexel's going to have to figure that out, because right now Hofstra's showing they can dodge on you, they can feed if you're sliding too early. They've got to find that balance.
Her 80th goal of the season. What a year she's had. And it looks like if things stay on this pace, she's going to stay atop the NCAA as the leading goal scorer, which is incredible. And then we talked about it. I mean, you got players like Sam Apuzzo and Lindsey Rombeck. And, I mean, it's pretty crazy how good she's been this year. And, you know, we talk about those great players, and Shannon Smith, I asked her, I go, what do you think? She goes, well, she's one of the best players in the country. She's the best junior in the country. She deserves to be talked about like that, and she's had pretty tough schedule for the most part and deserves to be in the same conversation. And she is. She's put herself in that conversation with how good she's played.
She really has, and I think that's going to be something that needs to continue to be talked about, is that you have some players in the mid-majors that are playing excellent lacrosse all around. And that's going to be something that they can, they can stack up with a Sam Apuzzo, with a Jamie Ortega. They can play with these players, and I think you're going to hear those names more and more. So I'd love to see them get more in the mix, whether it's, Tuaraton, the finalists, or what have you. But I do think some of these players across, mid-major, high major, they're playing excellent right now.
Yeah, and you can see by just watching her play how skilled she is. And you mentioned the Tuaraton, and as you saw, that list came out of the top 25 nominees. Perella was not on that list, so maybe she's got a little bit of that in the back of her mind today, too. A little more motivation. I know she wants to win, but that always helps to give her a little bit something extra.
Absolutely.
Katie Whalen in front, shot and score. It's Bud again. 7-0 Hofstra.
Hofstra's feeling it. I mean, they're confident. They trust their teammates. That's one of the biggest things you can see in watching this game. They're trusting their teammate will catch the ball and finish, because they're feeding from pretty much 15 yards out. You can see this feed all the way out, really wide, not your typical feeding area and location, but she sent it in there. She trusts her teammate, and these finishes are outstanding.
Bud now with a point in 5 straight games, coming on strong. She had a goal and 9 assists coming into this game, so getting even things out a little bit early on here with a couple early goals. Hofstra dominating to start this one. Drexel really just hasn't had possession of the ball that much. I mean,
no, they haven't.
They've had 2 opportunities on offense and the 2 saves by Jess Smith, and that's basically all there's been.
This is exactly what Coach Smith wants. I mean, she wants this kind of play, this kind of domination on the draw control, just going into the tournament next week. It's going to sharpen them up and be ready to go.
A little bit of a gut check time here for the Dragons. Their last game of the year. We know they can't make the tournament, but still playing for a lot of pride here for the future and trying to find out what they got. And this is the time to do it. As they do take over, looking to get into this lead. Nice feed right there, wide open in the middle.
That was a great look. Shot by Courtney Dietzel, high, stick side. That's really tough. Obviously would have loved to see a low finish right there, but sometimes in the moment, as every coach has seen, that's a shot that every player is going to wish they had back.
Almost found herself a little too open, And it's tough, especially when the other team has this run going. Things start to tense up a little bit, and you want to score so much, it's tough.
Yeah, players tend to get tight in these moments, and that's where you just need everyone just to calm down. There's plenty of game left. Yes, you're down in a hole, but you just got to start climbing your way back one by one by doing the simple things you've worked on for the past, 6-7 months.
Hofstra takes over, looking to attack as they have been all game long. That's Whalen.
Hofstra doing a really good job of really isolating and stretching out these slides for Drexel. You can see right now, there's a good 7-8 yards before any slide can get there. They have a stack and cutters coming off the far side, making sure those defenders can't slide. If they do, they're gonna feed those open players like they've done for 5 goals so far. So I just think it's something. Hofstra right now has a great game plan coming into this game.
And after legal stick check, we're gonna take over here. Continue with about 20 seconds on the possession clock. Whalen up top. She's going to make a move. There she goes to the cage, looking for someone and cutting in the middle. And there's her teammate, Ariana Esposito. And that's going to be on Drexel. So Hofstra will take over with a free position. That's Esposito from the 8-meter. 8 seconds on the possession clock. Something to keep in mind here with the free position. Esposito looking for the shot, goes low. Bounces past. Hofstra's got the backup, but we do have a whistle. With 2 seconds on the possession clock. See if Hofstra might just sort of throw it in the corner here.
Oh, it's Perella, you never know. I might shoot it.
She does. She makes the smart decision.
I wouldn't put it past her to be able to score from there.
Right. The Drexel takes over after getting a stop on the defensive side, something they desperately needed. All right, so Drexel's going to get into their offense once again. They've had a couple of opportunities. I say a couple, just haven't been able to get it by Jess Smith just yet, the freshman goalie. Hofstra jars it loose for a brief second, but nice pickup there by Grace Osterdale. Drexel working it around quite a bit here, trying to find a soft spot in that Hofstra zone as they continue to work it around.
They did a nice job finding that elbow. That is an open spot they're going to find, but I feel like they got to get their hands free and look for some shots right now. They have to challenge this goalie. She's great. I mean, Jess Smith is a solid goaltender, 50% in cage, and so they have to challenge and test her more and more.
We need to get a whistle there, and it looks like Hofstra's going to take over after that.
It's going to be a card for dangerous propelling, following through right there into the defender. So not exactly the set they're looking for. Now Drexel's going to go down a man for the next 2 minutes.
About 17 minutes to go here at Vitus Field. Hofstra with a 7-0 lead. Tom Esch and Liz Robertshaw on the call this afternoon. It's a beautiful day. 67 degrees, a little windy out there, but not too bad. Hofstra's a man up looking to add to their 7-0 lead. They scored once earlier already on a man-up situation, looking to do it once again. These kind of things, like we talked about with the tournament coming next week, the man-up's looking for something to work on, and there, once again, is a goal. It's Esposito this time scoring.
Again, really simple play right there. They're not making it more complicated than it needs to be. They have one player in the middle waiting for that defense to slide down to ball. When they do, she's wide open. It's a nice finish. Again, she doesn't try to make it something it's not. It's just a little touch finish at the end of the day right here. Puts it down low.
Oh, excuse me, that was Cameron Faith with the goal that time. 15-19, similar numbers. The freshman from Garnet Valley, Pennsylvania, gets the goal to make it 8-0. That offense just working so well with a lot of different players now coming into the fold and scoring, even other than Alyssa Perella.
They're doing a nice job of spreading the ball around. It's not about finding a certain person, it's about finding anyone that's open, and they're doing a really nice job of that. Obviously, Coach Smith has scripted plays. We've already seen that a couple times with goals by Bud and Matera, but in general, they know where to look, they know where the holes are in man-up, man-down situations, and they're playing very well.
Yeah, and from looking over this Hofstra roster and seeing some of these players that they've gone to the last couple weeks, they've been athletes that they haven't necessarily gone to earlier in the year, but more of ones that have come on the fold later in the season. Faith, a good example of that. Her stats, I mean, now she has 2 goals and 2 assists on the season overall, but she had a goal against Towson, 2 assists against Delaware. So just in the last couple weeks, they're finding new options depending on how teams are playing athletes like Perella, and it's working out for them too.
And a lot of times you see throughout the course of your team gets banged up. So it could be because of injury. A lot of times, too, you want to see who steps up at the end of the year, who's still fighting for that spot, who wants the playing time. Those are the kids that at the end of your season can make the difference.
Oh, Caroline
Nice.
Cummings going right to the rack and finding that soft spot to get Drexel on the board, but they're going to wave it off. Or earlier, a whistle that was a little bit too loud with the wind. But she'll take over on the arc to look to do that once again. I couldn't hear the whistle. Not sure about that one, but they do make the save on the free position. So unfortunate turn of events there for Drexel as Jess Smith makes another save, but Drexel jars it loose on the transition opportunity, so they get the ball back.
Nice job in the ride by Courtney Dietzel, getting that cause turnover, giving her teammates another opportunity, see if they can make something of it before Hofstra gets in here and gets set in their zone.
They do settle down a little bit here. Almost halfway through the first half. Drexel still looking to get on the board. Hofstra playing really good defense. And they're second in the CAA this year, giving up about a little less than 10 goals a game. There's Colleen Grady with the shot. Another save there by Jess Smith. Yeah, the Hofstra defense, 24th in the NCAA as well. So, I mean, that's top 30, top 25 even, which is really good.
They do a nice job of making the 8-meter look crowded. At the same time, they're giving their opponent shots that their goaltender can make saves on. That was a shot at the 8. Jess Smith will take that all day. You know, she'll take any of those shots that she can see and she can track. So I think Hofstra's doing a really nice job of protecting their goaltender and making their opponent feel rattled. I think that also helps when your offense is playing the way they're playing, going down, you know, and scoring on almost every possession they've had, 8 goals right now. It allows your defense and allows your goaltender to just play, stay loose, and not feel like they have to make a save, but that they can make a save.
That Drexel defense working very hard now as they've been under fire for a lot of this one. And there is another goal from Melissa Perella. Hofstra takes a 9-0 lead.
See it right there off a cut. She's quick. That's that first step that Coach Smith was talking about with Alyssa Perella. She gets a step on you, and she's really dangerous, as you can see.
She's now moved into 9th in the CAA career goals list as just a junior. She's firmly in that top 10 with a hat trick this afternoon. 185 career goals for Perella. She has 3 goals, 3 assists in 15 minutes. That's 6 points. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good, yeah.
We knew we were going to see a show, and she's given us one so far. With those 6 points, she's at 99 on the season thus far, and she's 3rd. I mean, there's so many records. I'm just going to start reciting them. For the CAA single-season points record is 112, we mentioned earlier. Now she has 99, so she's 3rd now on that list. She moved past Kristen Gaudian.
You have to believe that Coach LaMonica right now is watching this game. As long as her game's over, she is watching this game right now, and she better be drawing up that game plan to slow down Alyssa Perella.
Coach LaMonica and Towson finished up with Delaware a little while ago. They won 17-14. So if you're watching, Coach LaMonica, hi.
Hi. Get that game plan ready because Alyssa Perella is coming after you.
You know, Towson and Hofstra played last weekend, and Towson won 13-12, but Hofstra had a lead late in that game. The Tigers had to come back, and it was another good game, and I think we're going to get that again next week. Got to push on Hofstra, so Drexel will have another opportunity at the free position to get on the board here.
Well, this is a good look. I think the fact that she looked to Cage, she found the open player, you know, a little aggressive on the defensive end, but this is a nice opportunity right here for Drexel.
Sophia Watkinson taking this free position here. She's going to take the shot. It's going to go wide, but the backup's right there at X, and they bring it out, and they're going to settle down with a fresh possession clock. Drexel mixing up in their lineup a little bit, just trying to find a spark, and that could be the spark right there. Unfortunately, it goes a little bit wide. That was Dietzel.
Fresh possession clock right there, which will be good. Again, they're giving their defense a break. So while they haven't scored, this is still a good possession for Drexel to give their defense some time off.
Yeah, they got to find some way to get going, whether it's Colleen Grady, who leads them so far this year in points. Looks like we got a 3-second violation. Haley Simpson, freshman midfielder, will take over here. Here's a free position from the right side. So take the look at it. She goes low and scores. Drexel's on the board. It's Simpson. 9-1, Hofstra the advantage.
That's something I think they're going to definitely use as a spark. And I love that it was a freshman, confident, went straight in. Hofstra is quick off the line. You saw that in the last 2 to 3 free position shots they've had. You can see it right here. Confident, she's got her eyes to case, and she shoots early. I think that was a great shot for her. Hit the ball well so that Jess Smith couldn't read it. Finishes that goal and gets him on the board.
Yeah, that one was tough to stop for sure. Very well done there by Simpson, freshman out of Ellicott City, Maryland. Wasn't able to score. She had a couple goals, wasn't able to score last week rather, but she had a couple goals earlier in the year and getting her 5th of the year. As we talked about, Drexel trying to find a spark, and they do. Interesting thing about Simpson, she played varsity boys hockey for 4 years in high school. Made it to the state title game, went to nationals, so she can hang, as they say.
That's awesome.
Tough. And skilled.
And skilled.
Yeah.
That's something I will say, more and more coaches are looking for hockey players. Whether, obviously you'd love if they play for the boys, but playing on the women's teams too. They've got great hands. They've got a good touch and feel on the ball. that's a sport. I can tell you right now, more and more coaches love the dual sport athlete of someone who played ice hockey.
Drexel will look to get a little bit of a run together off this draw control, but Hofstra once again takes over. They've been good on it so far. Oof.
If it's not Smith, it's Matera, and you know she's all over the place. She reads where the ball's going extremely well and gets a jump.
Zoe Bennett right now in goal for Drexel. They've sort of gone back and forth so far. Sigourney Heering got the start as a senior, but it looks like there's Bennett there in the goal for Drexel right now.
Elevator low!
Hofstra up 9-1. Looking to make it double digits here. They've had a great first 18 minutes of this game. As good as they've looked all year against competition here in the CAA. Get Perella from behind the cage. She's good from there. Whalen looking in front and popping wide open, and scoring is Demick once again. Great ball movement there from the Pride.
Hofstra's really taking their time to run their sets, and I think that also shows that Coach Smith wants this to be a primer for next weekend. So they're not just freelancing. What you're seeing right now is not just roll the ball out there and play. They have sets, they have looks. You can see it right here. 1, 2, they're gonna find the third player down low on a great backdoor cut. Miscommunication from Drexel, Hofstra takes advantage of it. Really well done, well executed. This team is looking sharp. I can tell you that right now. They're finding the looks they want, and I think that bodes well for their future.
That's a hat trick for Demick, and Whalen, big reason why she leads the team in assists right there. Great vision. And we do have another timeout here on the Drexel side of things. Hofstra leading 10-1 with 12:14 left to go in the first half. We're going to take a brief break here from Vitus Field in Philadelphia.
What's going on? Travis Eldridge back here inside the LSN studio for our Player of the Year watch this week. An obvious choice, highlighting the defending Tewaaraton winner, Sam Apuzzo. The BC senior entered this week as one of the top scorers in the entire country. 94 points in the season so far. Of course, won the Tewaaraton Award a year ago. Also, with a season-high 13 draw controls in that win over Louisville last weekend. And this week in the ACC tournament, she's continued to lead the Eagles. A couple of points in the dominating win over the Cardinals in the quarterfinals. And then another hat trick last night as the Eagles came from behind to beat Syracuse in the semis. Apuzzo and BC now turn their attention to the ACC title game tomorrow afternoon. Remember, keep it locked in here to LSN all season long as we continue to track the Player of the Year race on the men's and women's side. We'll see you later on.
Welcome back here to Vitus Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Tom Esch and Liz Robertshaw with you. And Sam Apuzzo, one of the best in the country. But we're seeing one of the best right here on LSN today in Alyssa Perella, who has 6 points in the early going. She had about 6 points the first 15 minutes of this game. 3 goals, 3 assists, and really showing us why she's been so good for so long this year.
This is exactly what Coach Smith wants to see. You can see she's smiling right there, well-deserved. They know it's not over. You see Darcy Smith going out, ready to take care of the draws. She and Alexa Matera have been outstanding. They're aggressive, they're going after it, and they have a great connection. They know where the ball's going, and I think that's something Drexel has to pick up. They have to get a little more gritty, a little more scrappy on these draw controls and get more possessions for their offense.
Yeah, we've seen Dietzel take a few more of these draw controls, and that might be a height thing as well. Carson Harris, who, as we talked about, is the single-season record. She's 5'6", Dietzel at 5'10", maybe matching up a little bit better with Darcy Smith on the Hofstra side of things, who's 5'9". So sort of that kind of a matchup thing as well, as also Drexel just trying to find the combination of things that work. As they do get, they get possession, so
yeah.
Coming off the timeout. I can imagine that Coach Batchelor is just trying to tell them to play hard, at this point. Keep on, the score is what it is. This is the last game of the year, so you might as well keep on fighting. And there is a shot by Harris, who I just mentioned, and another save there by Jess Smith.
Again, they're getting some nice looks. I mean, that's a good drive. She didn't get touched when she took the shot. It's just about finishing, and I think that was something that Coach Batchelor talked about in general for the season, is that they're making the steps, but they need to get that finishing touch.
We'll have a brief whistle and get a little bit of a reset here for Hofstra. As you've mentioned, I think Hofstra's going to keep on coming.
Yeah.
About 12 minutes to go here in the half, and they're going to see how far they can open up this lead and maybe even try to get it one more goal, and we'll start with the running time as well. There's Whalen looking, another nice look. And there's the save by Bennett. Ball bounces around a little bit. It's going to go to Hofstra. Looks like a last touch by Drexel. Have a whistle on the restart, and they will get to restart once again.
Right there you have a foul. I mean, that was a warning for the player. She didn't give her the necessary space that needed. That happens again, it will be a green card, a 1-minute penalty, so I know that's something Drexel would like to avoid. So just tightening those things up.
They don't want to give any more advantages
No.
to Hofstra right now, and do a nice job defensively there, and the little spin move works out, and they'll continue play despite the whistle. They'll play on in transition, which could be an opportunity for Drexel to dig into the lead a little bit, have some momentum heading into the locker room. You got a shooting space there on Hofstra on the transition, and we'll do a free position from the 8-meter with Colleen Grady. Leads the team in points, assists, goals this year, looking to add on. She goes to the rack, goes low, and scores. It's Colleen Grady, the sophomore from Gretton Ridge, New Jersey, giving Drexel their second goal of the game.
That's a nice play. Great defensive stop on one end, good transition bringing it down, get the shooting space call and finish on a free position. Drexel will take that. I think, again, they need to keep chipping away. They're not just going to, get those 8 goals to tie it up overnight, but if they can just do things like this, play a simple game, they can get back into it.
And you do a sense that the timeout sort of maybe talked some life into him a little bit from Coach Batchelor, and I felt like on the defensive side, like we just talked about, so, Hofstra running their sets, they did a better job of covering some of those cutters on that back end, which forced the cause turnover, transition, and you get a goal out of it. So a nice sequence there from Drexel.
I think this will be a big draw control. If Hofstra can get it again, they're going to go down there. They're going to continue to work their sets. I think Drexel right now really needs to kind of turn the tide and get in on these draw controls.
That's pretty nicely done there from Darcy Smith, and that's why she's so good. We got a good look at it there. Drexel's being a little more aggressive now in the defensive end. We've seen the last couple of times down there, and some paper. You can tell it's windy, but we got about 20 miles an hour. I didn't know what that was on the field, but look, there's a little wrapper or something like that, and some wind, but at least the sun is shining, which is nice, and it's not too cold, about 67 degrees. So we're doing okay weather-wise, just dealing with some winds.
So Drexel's now thrown on double face guard. They have a face guard up top with Matera, and they have a face guard down low with Perella, so they're going to make their other players beat them. Not a bad call by any means by Coach Batchelor. It's going to be a situation that everyone else has to do their job.
There is Whalen going to the cage, and good defense there, really. It's forcing the soft shot and the nice save there by Bennett.
Again, if you can take the leading point scorers off the board right now, you can get back into this game and you got a chance.
You got to keep it out of Perella's stick and Matera, too. In transition, and there is the shot and the score by Grady. As you saw, no goal. Goal's been waved off. But once again, we got a shooting space, so Grady's going to take over here with the free position, trying to cash in. And there's the save by Smith. So that's the second time that's happened for Drexel, where there's been a penalty with an opportunity to score, and the goal's been waved off because of that.
43 and line. 43
Tough turn of events there for Drexel, but they'll try to, they've had a couple defensive stops in a row here, and they haven't been able to string those together too often, so they'll try to keep on stemming that tide and get the ball back.
Again, Perella's looking for some cuts. You can see up top we have a little bit of a two-man game. They're going to keep it wide to see if they can get some cutters and drives. I think they just want to continue to stretch out these slides for Drexel and not make it easy for them.
Trouble with the ball there and the goal line extended, but Hofstra somehow came up with it. A lot of breaks going their way for the Pride. Up 10-2 with 8:30 left in the first. Esposito cutting through the middle. And we've got, it looks like a shooting space there. Who else is? Perilla. Let's get another look at that one.
Again, she just got to step on Rachel Warden out there. As Coach Smith alluded to, she is so quick. She's going to be really tough to face guard throughout the course of this game.
There is Perella, who works hard to the right side and sort of got bungled up there and wasn't able to score. Sort of fell over herself.
Zoe Bennett looks calm and confident there in cage, so it's nice to see a kid not get rattled even though they're down a couple goals. You know, she dropped when she needed to on that shot, made a good save, and gave her team the chance to get the ball down in the attacking end, which they're doing right now.
You're going up against Alyssa Perella there, so nicely done there by Bennett. Drexel trying to take some of that momentum back, and they've done it with a few stops in a row on defense, looking to do it on the offensive side, and getting right to the cage and scoring is Harris. Harris scoring her second of the game, her first of the game. The other one was called off, so it's her first of the game for Harris, and it's Drexel's third goal. They trail 10-3.
Nice set. They're seeing where the opening is. You'll see it right here. They cross the field on a nice skip pass. She catches it on the moves, keeps moving, doesn't stop her feet, hands are ready to shoot, and finishes on the weak side.
Really nicely done by Harris there.
This is how they've seen the majority of their shots come off, is that they have the ball over here on this right-hand side. They see the zone shift over. They skip it across. And again, as long as she keeps her feet moving and her hands ready to shoot, I think they're going to continue to get more opportunities. It's a tough save to make right there because the defense is off balance.
And we talked so much about Harris and her doing so well in the draw control. I mean, she was also called by Jill Batchelor a gamer, which if you're an athlete, that's what you want to be called, right? You want to be a gamer. I love that description. So she plays as a midfield. She plays pretty much the whole game on both sides and just sticks in there. She's gritty, sort of the attitude that this team wants to have.
And that's what they need. I mean, the fact that you can call one of your sophomores a gamer and one of your spark players, as Coach Batchelor did, I think that's going to be something they're going to build off of in the years to come. And then she also the same thing. She said, you know, attacking leader with Colleen O'Grady. You want some of your younger players being leaders because then it just goes so well for your future of your program.
That's definitely what they're looking to after today. And you do see Hofstra and Darcy Smith pick up the ground ball after the draw control. But, you know, Drexel's, you know, they've had a couple stops in a row, scored the last 3 of 4 goals in this game after Hofstra scored the first 9. So Drexel trying to take some of that momentum back and seeing what they can do about it here. I mentioned it was a gut check time a little earlier and seeing if they can sort of continue this wave.
It is. One thing they're going to have to, though, fix. I mean, Darcy Smith, 5 draw controls already, along with Alexa Matera's 3. I mean, they need to. They need to look for those draw controls and continue going. Hofstra right now, I think if Coach Smith, if I'm in her head, she's saying, I want more goals. You can't slow down on this team right now.
Tessa Shinacho to Perella in front and scores her 4th of the game. Hofstra takes an 11-3 lead.
Hofstra's proving what a nice dodging team they are, obviously with Perella in there, but what a great cutting team and what a nice feeding team they are. Anyone can feed, anyone can cut. That makes you really dangerous, and the finishing, love it. I love that shot. She gets her hands extended, rips it low, really tough on any goalkeeper to see the ball and make that save.
Perella's just so fast. I mean, she is, that first step like we talked about at the top of the broadcast is better than most, better than everybody out there. And you can see, especially when she cuts and beats her opponent to the spot.
And it's a challenge for any defender. I'm sure the coach is telling her, hey, you got to force her to her left hand. You can't let her get a step on you. Really try to cut it off. That's a tall order right there for Rachel Warden to be doing. And obviously, it's going to take work. There's a reason she leads the nation in scoring. But if you're going to shut her off, I think that's the way you got to do it. You got to cut off that right hand, make her play lefty, make her go the opposite way. They can do that. They'll have a shot to slow her down. But right now, I don't think there's a lot slowing Alyssa Perella down.
And with that goal, her 4th goal of the game, she has set the CAA single season goals record with 82 goals this season, Perella has.
And she's not done yet.
She's not, and it's only 24 minutes in. What a season from Alyssa Perella as just a junior here on Hofstra. We'll have to update our graphic at the beginning of the show with all the records she set. And I mean, we know the Hofstra records, but some of these conference records are pretty impressive too.
Fortunate uncaused turnover right there. Just misread it. That's going to hurt them, and Hofstra's ready to go down the other end.
Good hustle, though. You have to say it right there on the sideline. Coach Batchelor will like that.
Any kid that'll sell out and dive for a ball on turf, I respect it.
Yeah.
I'll give that up.
Because you're going to have some elbows and knees that are going to be a little red.
It's going to leave a mark.
And all the little pieces of tire.
Yeah, brutal.
After I had to play the shoes and everything had to take off, the bathroom floor be full of tire pieces.
They've stretched out Drexel really hard, taking that long dodge.
That's another good hustle they play there by
Nice.
Drexel on the defensive side. They didn't catch the number, but really came out of a cannon. Hofstra will take over after the ball bounces out of bounds. Stick check a little too much there on Drexel, so Matera will take over. She'll restart with 5 minutes to play in the first half. Loses it. Drexel trying to fight for those ground balls and just really missing them.
Yeah, looking just a step slow right now. I think they kind of need to regroup mentally and get after it just a little bit harder if they want to kind of fight Hofstra for those balls.
Looks like they're trying to play a little more physical, Drexel at this point. Slow Hofstra down a little bit here.
And we have a stack over here on the elbow. Nice feed inside. A little crowded on that feed.
It was Bud doing some work, but it's picked up by Esposito. There's Demick with 30 on the possession clock. There's Faith from the left side. Looking over the middle, and no cutters there, so she'll get it back out.
We'll see some cutters from this side. They do a nice job of setting
There is the cutter.
picks and wheels, and it'll work.
Esposito, she scores to make it 12-3. The sophomore from Miller Place, New York. That was about 10 seconds to go on the possession clock. They worked through their progressions and found Esposito cut him through the middle.
They're finding a lot of success by just having that one feeder out to the side, whether it's Buzz, whether it's, sometimes it's Esposito or she's not cutting. They're having a lot of options. They'll set up a stack opposite. They'll send a little wheel going through there with some inside picks, and then they're just finding wide open looks of cage. This is really tough for Zoe Bennett to make these saves because she's seeing point blank shots from about 3 yards out.
So Hofstra taking a 12-3 lead here with 3:51 to go on the clock here in the first half. Drexel had, made that run a little bit and sort of get on the board here, but Hofstra is sort of taking the momentum back now at this point after a couple nice saves from Jess Smith, and Hofstra just getting it done. They've been very efficient on the offensive side. They've had 18 shots on goal, and they've made 12 of them.
And I think that's a great way to look at their offense right now. They're running their systems. They're doing exactly what they want to be doing. They are being efficient even when their 2 top goal scorers are being face guarded.
Like we said, finding the scoring from other places, even though Perella has 4 goals and 3 assists.
I guess she can sprinkle it around, let somebody else take a
right.
goal.
She can't really score all 12 goals, even as we might think she can.
Yeah.
But wind kicking up a little bit here as Drexel takes over.
Courtney Dietzel draws that shooting space again. Skip pass. They catch the defense sliding, see what they can do on the free position.
Dietzel, the junior from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Looking for her first goal of the day here. She goes right to the cage, but makes the quick pass towards the crease. we'll redo it. Another free position there as Drexel picks it up, and she'll get it from the middle this time. There's Drexel. The bouncer bounces it over the everything and gets to the backup, which means Drexel takes over here. Possession clock does not reset there. Osterdale from X. We have another whistle.
Only a 3-second violation in there.
Osterdale will get it from the 8-meter arc, even though she was behind the cage there. Less than 3 minutes to go. Drexel looking to score their 4th of the game and keep on digging into this lead and that momentum. Here goes Grace. And another save there by Smith. Jess Smith with 9 saves thus far on the afternoon.
She's having a great day. She just calm, confident in there. She's reading the shots well. Right now, almost all of Drexel's shots have gone low. A lot are trying to go, 5-hole or behind her. Unfortunately, most of the shots are going to her feet, which is an easier save for a goaltender to make. So I think if Drexel, during their halftime break, they have to talk about shooting behind this goaltender, challenging it. The goals that have gone in have been mid, right behind her hips and elbows. So if they can look for that, they can find some, because Jess Smith is making every save low.
And Drexel's really had to work for the shots they've gotten.
Yeah.
It feels like with Hofstra's, they've come more easier, I guess, is just the way to put it. And they've come within the flow of the offense, the cutter in front, and that's how it's been going so far for both these teams. Hofstra decides to take a timeout here with 2 minutes to go in the first half with a 12-3 lead. And as always, we'll have some coverage for you coming up here as we hit zeros here in the first half. Some highlights from this first half, and I'm sure Alyssa Perella will be featured on plenty of those. And we'll get you some highlights from around the region as well with Hofstra and Drexel and are right now, and we'll look at that too. Men's CAA preview as they get set for their tournament. Their field is set with UMass the top seed and then Towson the 2 seed, just like on the women's side. And we'll have Delaware on the 3 seed, Drexel the 4 seed. So it's UMass and Drexel on the men's side, Towson and Delaware the 2-3 game, which should be a good one. All those games will be pretty decent next week. As for this week, as for this afternoon, we've just seen Alyssa Perella put on a clinic here in the first half. 4 goals, 3 assists, breaking records along the way, and we're going to try to keep track of all those for you as we go along. But Perella really showing that she can do it in many ways, and we even mentioned earlier in the broadcast, we said, well, they're finding different ways to score, but it's Perella who has 4 goals and 3 assists, and when the ball's in her stick, it seems like Hofstra has scored every time. It's something that she's really, that Shannon Smith had said that she's been better at this year. She's become, because I was wondering, I asked Coach, I was like, so what has she gotten better at? Because she was good last year too. She said mentally, which I thought was interesting. She's mentally stronger. She's become more of a cutter on the inside. She's developed her shooting. So she's really worked on all the aspects of her game to become the player she is today. And I think you've seen all of that this afternoon.
I definitely think you have. And when you have a player, especially as a junior, that has taken the time to work on their mental game, it really makes them unshakable. So that's why you're going to see games where she's going to have multiple points in every game. She has scored a point in the last 26 games. That's tough. When you're a leading goal scorer, people are face guarding you. They are early doubling you. They are not allowing you to hopefully get a look on cage. And for 26 games straight, she has scored a goal. So it just tells me that she's taken this role of being the leading goal scorer in our team seriously, and that she wants to be a next level player. And I think that's something that every Hofstra alum is going to love to hear, that they have someone who can lead the nation in scoring.
Yeah, and you see some of the teammates that really benefit from there. You saw Alexa Matera and Jackie Gaddy, a freshman, and there's Perella right there. And like you said, the alums, I mean, she's going to be someone that Hofstra is going to be talking about for a long time after this season and after next season, too.
Absolutely.
There's Darcy Smith going to the cage and trying to get a goal. She's got 6 this year, looking to make it 7 for the draw control specialist. Approaching 90 seconds to go here in the first half. Hofstra with possession, looking to get that double-digit lead heading into the locker room. Darcy Smith working more on offense now. We've seen her in the offensive side for the first time this half.
Darcy on the wing! Darcy on the wing! Katie behind!
You can hear the coaches barking out instructions. I think they want to get her a goal here. That's what I'm feeling. And she does make a nice dodge there, but Drexel's there to help.
Again, stretching out the D right here.
Minute to go here in the first half. An illegal stick check, so taking over on the fan is Shannon Boyle. Hofstra working some different combinations here as well. Darcy Smith trying to increase that lead, and she'll take over here with a free position. She's there on the left dot.
Interesting to see if she takes this. I mean, she doesn't have the best angle. Nope, yep, pulls it out. I think they want to get set up. Oh, geez, Drexel.
She was wide open there, almost didn't really realize it. And Perella cutting into the middle, and the ball's all over the place, so we need to get the ground ball. Drexel in transition with 30 seconds to go. Brady taking it over the middle, pressed hard there by Matera, getting it around. 25 seconds to go in the half. Drexel looking to add one more. .15, looking for the right shot the Dragons are, and cutting through the middle and getting the shot, but just wide is Dietzel. She does fall down, 5 seconds to go, picking up the ground ball. It's behind the cage. Can they get one more shot off with 2 seconds to go? And the time expires in the first half. It's Hofstra via Alyssa Perella's 4 goals and 3 assists with a 12-3 lead here at Vitus Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Erin Demick also has a hat trick on the Pride side of things as well. Our score at the half at Vitus Field, 12-3. We'll be back in a few minutes for the second half. But first, an update on the day in college lacrosse. We'll send you back to the LSN Broadcast Center.
Welcome back here inside the LSN Broadcast Center. Travis Eldridge alongside Finn Sullivan for this LSN halftime report. Hofstra in control, looking to build some momentum as they get ready for the CAA tournament next week.
Yeah, definitely making a statement here so far in the first half. Really rolling, especially offensively. Putting up 12 goals in one half is really impressive, and they look to continue this on into tournament play next year.
The word impressive, a great way to describe Alyssa Perella so far in this one. Why don't we show you, in case you missed any of her points so far, why don't we show you what went down in this first half. Pride taking on the Dragons there at Vitus Field. And right off the bat, we didn't even have to waste any time. Perella, one of the best scorers in the country, getting right on the board early. This one, she goes top shelf. That's where they keep the good stuff. That ties the Hofstra all-time goals record, 183rd goal of her career, 1-0 Pride. Not much later, it's now 5-0 Hofstra, and Perella going to work once again. She wanted that career record. She's only a junior, folks. 184 career goals, that's the new Hofstra career record. 6-0 Pride at that point, and, well, there's more from Perella in this first half, and more records for her to break. Here on the cut, nice backdoor cut, beats her defender. That's her 81st goal of the season, which tied a CAA record, and Hofstra was up 9-0. Eventually, Drexel would try to claw their way back into this thing. Haley Simpson on the free position makes it a 9-1 game, but how about some more from the Pride at the other end? Katie Whalen, Erin Demick. All in all, it equals a big lead for the Pride at the break. Taking a look at some of the stats from the first half of this one as Hofstra leads 12-3. Perella putting on a show. 7 points already in the first half on 4 goals and 3 assists. Demek, you saw that goal there toward the end. 1 of 3 for her. She's got a hat trick. Alexa Matera tossing one in as well. Hofstra in control of this one so far. Taking a look at our side-by-side stats, a lot of pressure on Drexel, but Hofstra actually with the lead in saves as well. The draw's relatively even, but the Pride getting a couple more shots on goal, leading to this 9-goal lead at the break. So let's just talk about what we're seeing from Alyssa Perella, because she's the #1 player on everybody's scouting report. Like, there's no secrets anymore as a junior. Everybody knows what she's done. She's breaking records left and right, and she still goes out there and puts up 7 points in the first half.
Yeah, it's amazing. It looks like to me she knows how to play with the ball. She knows how to play without the ball if the other team's like trying to, face guard her and not, shut her off from the rest of the play. You saw in that backdoor cut there, it looked like she was being shut off all the way in the corner, and she's working to get open, so she's not satisfied just taking herself out of the play. She wants to be involved, even if she's being double, triple teamed, doesn't matter. And I love, she's got some assists today as well, so she's really like a comprehensive, well-rounded player, and she's showing it all today.
And that's maybe one of the most impressive things we've seen from her is her ability. She has the ability to score 7 goals in a game, as we've seen this year, but also has the ability to give you 3, 4, 5 assists in a game as well. She's got great balance to her, what she's able to do on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she makes it all happen for Hofstra, whether she's dodging the feed, dodging the score. I think she's really just one of these special players that is able to read exactly what the defense is trying to do to her and adjust accordingly. So if they're playing soft on her, maybe she's going to take some shots in their face. If they're playing up in her face, run right by them and look to feed if they come for the double. So it's special to watch, honestly.
She now owns every record really there is in goals and points for Hofstra in history. First in single-season goals, first in single-season points, and then the career marks in both of those categories as well. She's got another year still there.
Year plus, so we'll see.
It's ridiculous. Speaking of year plus, Hofstra will be in the CAA women's tournament coming up this week. The bracket is set no matter what happens the rest of this game. That's thanks to Elon's win over William & Mary last night. That locked in the Phoenix there as the #4 seed. They'll play top seed James Madison in one semi. The other semi, 2 seed Towson against the 3 seed Hofstra. So the Pride know next weekend they play the Tigers after they close out the regular season today. In other action, Duke and UNC in the ACC women's semis. It was a game moved to today due to weather in the Boston area last night. And Duke, this is better than the regular season matchup between these two. Duke gave the Heels a run, but North Carolina a little too much at the end. They won 16-11. Jamie Ortega and Kara Klages with big games each with 5 points. Meanwhile, on the men's side in the CAA, UMass locked up the top seed in the tournament. The right to host with the win over Delaware last night here on LSN. Today, Finn, Towson facing Drexel. Tigers with a win, sealing up the 2 seed, but playing without star face-off man Alex Woodall today, out with an upper body injury he suffered last week against Delaware. Early on, not too much of an issue. Brody McLean to Jake McLean, believe it or not related. 2-1 Tigers. Later on, this Drexel offense, Finn, one of the most talented in the country.
They are. They move the ball really well, and it's not centered around one guy. It's like 6 guys all working together, and it's predicated on ball movement. So if you're a kind of lacrosse aficionado, it's one to watch where it's not just one guy dodging and everyone playing off of him. They really share it well.
Yeah, Marshall King with the goal there. Dragons up, but Towson responds in the third. Luke Frommer to Brody McLean. 1-goal Tigers lead, but back and forth we go. Marshall King to Chris McClowan. Towson up 8-7. Then Varian, Matthew Varian, the game-tying goal. It's a tie game at 8. Down the stretch we go. It's now 10-9 Towson. This was the spot where Jack McNallen, the face-off man for Towson, the backup, wasn't great today, but just good enough. He actually had 2 goals down the stretch. There's one of them, and it seals off an 11-9 win. Timmy Monahan, Brendan Sunday, 4 points apiece for the Tigers. They led the way. The concern coming out of this one is the face-off X. Woodall's backup, Jack McNallen, 7 of 22. That's not the Woodall numbers we've seen. 2 goals down the stretch for him, but not great at the X. We'll see if Woodall's healthy for Thursday's semifinals. So with that, the stage is set. Top seed UMass hosts 4 seed Drexel, 5:05 Eastern time on Thursday. The second semi set to begin around 7:35. 2 seed Towson versus 3 seed Delaware, also at Garber Field. Championship game, 1 p.m. at UMass on Saturday. So, Finn, quickly, with Towson, interesting thing to watch will be Alex Woodall if he's healthy. If he's not healthy, this Tigers team still the favorite to get to the championship and challenge UMass?
I'd say the favorite to get there, yeah. I think, we've said it time and time again, if they're not saving the ball above 60% and facing off above 60%, they're sort of an average team in the CAA. So you need both of those things. They really need Woodall to make a run, I think, at the CAA title.
Yeah, they kind of get a break there because they were able to fare pretty well against Delaware without Woodall last week for 3/4 of that game. Delaware struggled at the face-off X as well.
Right.
That will be interesting. UMass, a whole different issue with Tom Myers, who's been really good for them at the X.
Exactly.
Is UMass or Towson your favorite, quickly?
UMass, I'd say they're more well-rounded in the revenge factor from last year. They lost in the first round by 1 goal to the national champion.
Yeah.
They know they can do it, and a lot of those guys are back. So I got to pick UMass this year.
UMass,
it's tough for me to say as a Hofstra guy.
I know.
Yeah.
Wait, your Hofstra pride got UMass. That's UMass's only loss here down the stretch. Very similar streak that they've gone on since last season. But for now, we got to get you back to the half, for the second half in Philly. Tom and Liz, take it away.
Welcome back to Vitus Field here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As we start the second half, it's Hofstra 12 and Drexel 3. And in that first half, we really saw Hofstra from the very beginning put on a show, including, as you saw in the highlights, as you're about to see right now, Alyssa Perella, 4 goals, 3 assists. And Hofstra really just working the ball around well on offense. With Aaron Demick had a hat trick. Whalen with 3 assists as well. And what made their offense so dynamic in that first half, Liz?
They're just executing so well. I mean, they're stretching out the Drexel defense. They're making it tough for them to slide on one-on-one challenges. When they do slide, they've got cutters coming from opposite, from every direction. I've only seen them drop 1 pass, and so it's a situation where they're just finishing so well, so efficiently, and that's what's putting them up.
Yeah, very successful, as you can see by the score at this point. On the defensive end, playing well, too, and led by Jess Smith, the freshman from West Babylon, New York. And Smith, on a familiar name, their coach, Shannon Smith, is Jess Smith's cousin. So must be interesting to coach your cousin. I asked Shannon Smith about that earlier this week, and she said she's been harder than Shannon has been harder on Jess than anybody else, especially in the fall, knowing she was going to have to step up into the role as a freshman goalie this year. And she's a family member, so she can push her buttons a little bit.
I'm sure she does. I mean, I would think that'd be so challenging to coach any family member. But obviously, Jess Smith can take it, can handle it, and has done a good job. I think you're going to see actually a goaltender change right here.
Yeah, right in front of our eyes. Mm-hmm. Sarah Grosio is going to take over. The senior is going to probably play this second half as Smith put in a good first half, and we'll see what happens the rest of the game. But after those 9 saves and holding Drexel at 3 goals, she's put in a good amount of work today. Get a couple pats on the back.
Mm-hmm. And she deserves them. I think she's going to feel good going into next weekend's tournament with the way she played this first half.
And Garasio has played 4 games this year, 14.41 goals against average. The senior, 5'3" out of Massapequa, New York. We'll see what happens here in the second half. We'll see how much Drexel tries to take advantage of that and see what they can do to sort of get things going. When you saw Drexel, what did they do that was successful? I know Hofstra was so successful. When they sort of made that run, what did Drexel do a little bit differently, did you see?
Transition fast breaks were really great. They went down. They did a nice job of moving the ball and then finding that skip pass on the backside to open up those shooting space calls for free position shots or just look for drives, which you saw from a couple of their players, and especially Carson Harris. And I think that's something they need to continue doing. Expose the weak spots or the soft spots in the zone, transition the ball well, and again, make some stops defensively.
You see Hofstra does take over the first possession of the second half here. Hofstra in the CAA tournament as the 3 seed. They'll take on Towson next weekend. They're the second game on Friday here on LSN. JMU Elon kicks things off at 4:05 p.m. Eastern time. There's a shot from almost the 8-meter arc there, and it's a little wide, but Hofstra has the backup.
Isolation right here, kind of really opening it up, seeing if they can get a slide. Again, this is a setup we've seen the entire game. We have a dodge from one angle, good hard rip, but then we have almost all the entire team in a stack on the far side looking for some of those cuts.
Just waiting for one cutter to come through, maybe the next one to come through, and that's what's been working. Here comes Perella beating everybody, but the ball's jarred loose, and it caused turnover there by Drexel as they take it the other way. You don't see that too often. Drexel has a chance to score the first goal of the second half in transition.
I think Rachel Warden was waiting for that one. She's like, you've got me on a couple. I'm going to get you on one.
As Drexel takes over on offense after the transition opportunity, they'll settle things down a little bit, see what they talked about in the locker room, and see if it comes to fruition. All right, picking the ball up there, settling down. Hofstra sitting in that zone. Drexel looking for a crease. Hofstra not allowing anything too easy, but they're in the middle shooting and scoring. It's Jamie Schneiderith with the goal.
I was just about to say I was wishing they would play a little faster. They looked a little slow, but they did an excellent job of moving the ball around the perimeter, finding that open player, and Jamie Schneiderith inside the middle.
So Schneiderith's 11th goal of the year, and Schneiderith, a name you guys might have heard, whether you're watching a Drexel game, whether you're watching Albany play, whether you're watching Johns Hopkins play, because she is a set of quadruplets who all play college lacrosse. And her sister Lucy is on the team. She's been hurt a little bit this year, so she hasn't played a ton, but Jamie, one of the consistent forces. And then another sister, Maggie, on Johns Hopkins. We've heard her name quite a bit in the highlights this year. And then Georgia plays at Albany. And all that we've heard about this family is they're so great, and the girls are so positive, and really just knows what's it like to be a Division I athlete, as they can probably all talk to each other and say, hey, this is what I learned at Drexel. Hey, and it's pretty cool that there's two on the same team here at Drexel, too.
I mean, summers must be crazy with the training packets that come home, and I can only imagine those poor parents on a Saturday. What's going on?
So
where do they go? All the travel.
Something I think is cool is, as we were talking about Lucy, and that she's been hurt midway through the year, and she told some of her teammates, she said, hey, you know, make it hard for me to come back and play again. And I think that says a lot about her, it says a lot about the family and her upbringing, and really trying to inspire her teammates in that way. And I think that's pretty cool.
I think it's great, and again, it's going to be really important for the future of Drexel with Jill taking over to make sure she has the character kids that she wants. The Schneiderists are a perfect example of that. I know they're going to get more players like it. And again, they want those players that are great on the field, but also off of it.
And we see Drexel once again looking to make things happen, and 8-goal deficit, and try to cut that in half here with a couple more goals.
Again, I don't expect Drexel to do anything outside their wheelhouse. They're going to stay consistent, look for some of their cutters, take some drives, do what they do. They just need to feel confident in what they're doing. They're getting nice looks. They need to finish them.
I think they're moving the ball a little bit quicker than they were in the first half. A little more energy coming out of the locker room. 12-4 here. Tom Essen, Liz Shaw, Robert Shaw on the call. It's Grady looking for an opening. Tough pass, got a little handcuff there. Hutter in the middle, and taking the shot and scoring is Stetson, the senior from Pennsylvania. 12-5.
Drexel's showing good composure. I'm impressed with the fact they're not looking frantic. They're not, you know, they've had a couple drop balls, but I don't think that's because they're trying to press. I just think maybe they weren't ready for that. But right now, this is what Drexel needs to do coming out of the locker room and to finish this game. And Jill said it yesterday, regardless of the scoreboard, they want to play a game they're proud of. They want to make sure they're finishing every single possession the way they know how to do it and feeling good and confident about their play. And I think this is a good start to this half. Hofstra right now, they've got to battle back. You know, they don't want to let this game slip and get closer because, again, they have a lot to go for in next weekend, and they have to show that strength that they can keep pressing, keep pushing, and be ready to go.
They want to play a full 60 minutes, I think.
Absolutely.
And leading into the CAA playoffs coming up next week. As for Stenson, a 3-year starter, and a goal on senior day is always a good thing. You got to love that. She was an all-rookie for the CAA back in 2016, her freshman year. So she's obviously made a big impact on this program for a few years now. A couple goals against Delaware last weekend. Hofstra changing things up a little bit there in the draw control circle with Perella taking this one.
She can do everything.
She has 19 draw controls so far this year. She does lose that one, though. The Drexel once again has possession in this second half. They've scored twice already. Looking to make it 3. They've found a little bit of a crack in that zone so far, and some of those cutters in the middle, and finding a couple creases. And there is the cutter in the middle, and another score. That's Haley Simpson with the goal.
That was great ball movement right there by Drexel. Again, you're seeing that extra player up top, putting 2 people on ball, added ball pressure to avoid the drive from Drexel. And Hofstra, you know, as they're shifting and kind of getting a little bit out of position, they're finding that open cutter on the wings and inside.
So Simpson scores, and Drexel comes out of the locker room firing a 3-goal run to start the second half, and the lead is down to 6. 12-6 Hofstra leads, but Drexel with a lot of the momentum after a quick 3 possessions here and 3 goals to start the second half. That's the freshman from Ellicott City, Maryland, getting the goal. Her second of the game.
One thing Hofstra, I think, needs to do right now, they need to buckle down and protect their senior goaltender. So you have a goalie who hasn't seen as many minutes right now on the field. They need to limit those shots inside the paint in front of her and give her a better opportunity to make those saves. At the same time, Drexel is doing a nice job. They're shooting high left side, which against Jess Smith was a save because that's her stick side. Right here, Sarah Garoso. This is a righty goaltender. So now they're shooting at a place where, you know, before it was a save, now it's going in.
Yeah, we were wondering what that change would make an impact in this game, as it is 12-6, and Perella wins the draw control. And gets it to Darcy Smith. A little bit of a different combination. Usually it's Smith winning and getting it to Perella, so Hofstra mixing things up a little bit, finding some different combinations with that 6-goal lead, and they do get possession, taking over for the first time this half, about 4.5 minutes in. Hofstra had a lot of good possessions to start off this game, looking to repeat that. And not just to start, in the first half they had a lot of good possessions. So taking some time off the clock here as well.
They're in that face guard again right there, but you can see Perella's got a great first step. She runs out. Warden a little too aggressive. I don't know if it's a hold right there.
Looks like we did get a whistle, I believe. I think I saw the officials motioning for a stick check. A legal stick check at that. But Perella takes it from that left side. See if she can get her first goal the second half. She scored first in the 4 in the first. She does feed. Hofstra moving it around quite a bit. Shooting space. But looks like the goal is good anyway. They let them play on, and that's a good goal for Hofstra. Katie Whalen getting her 28th goal of the year. Sort of a confusing sequence, but...
Yeah, for those of you guys that are watching, I know in the first half, Drexel had something that looked very similar where they shot on a shooting space and got called back. This one goes in. It's the simultaneous whistle. So she shot it at about the same time, within a second of when that whistle was blown. In the rules for the NCAA, they're going to count that goal and continue a play on. In the first half, the reason it didn't count, it was the referees determined it was far enough away from the whistle that the play had stopped and been deemed dead before the shot.
So more of a bang-bang sort of situation this time around.
It's tough. I mean, I don't envy the goalies in those situations.
They're trying to figure what's going on out there. Everybody's sort of regrouping for the most part. 13-6, Hofstra with the lead. Stopping that Drexel run to start the second half. Perella taking a lot of those draw controls to start the half.
Matera, nice job getting a jump on that. And again, I think right now you're just going to see Hofstra, again, take some time off the clock, get organized, and work to be as efficient as they were in the first half. As you mentioned, they need to play a full 60 minutes going into next weekend's tournament, and they can start it right here.
There is Matera making her way across the middle. Yeah, so last Friday, Hofstra played Towson, who they're going to play in the semifinals next week. That was a 13-12 Hofstra loss, so they'll be looking to bounce back from that. That was a really good game. There's Matera taking the shot. It's wide. And did Bennett back it up? No, she did not get there in time, so Hofstra is behind and ready to restart. Up 13-6, 24 minutes to go. Whalen looking around, searching for somebody, and the ball goes through, but they can pick it up now with 25 seconds to go here in the possession clock. Here's Matera getting checked up top, fighting her way with a couple defenders on her, and sort of had a feeling that was coming. And it's going to be looks like we're going to have a card here, 30 seconds. Matera's going to get it at the 8-meter arc with a free position.
Yeah, stick's just a little high up by the neck. So anytime you're kind of going up from the waist up through the shoulders, when you get to that neck area, you're pretty much going to get a card every time.
Matera sort of ducked her head there. It looked like, I don't know if that was getting closer to the stick or not, but whatever she did, she sold it well.
Attackers do what attackers do. Speaking as a former defender, I will always side with the defenders, but you know that one was going a little high.
So here is Matera. She already has a goal today. Going to pass it out with a fresh possession clock as Hofstra continues to work it.
Again, man up. You're going to see that 1 to 2 players in the middle right now. Hofstra likes to work to 3-2-2.
2-minute penalty, excuse me. I said it was 30 seconds earlier, a little bit more egregious than I had understood. That shot's a little too high and wide. But Hofstra will remain on the man up until they score or until the time runs out. Backed up once again by Jenna Budd back there. Wind's really whipping right now. We do have a whistle and a penalty, so we'll go to the free position. Amanda Guerra with the opportunity this time. Freshman from Babylon. Looks like she's going to do exactly that. 60 seconds on the possession clock. Hofstra's going to get the best shot possible here with a man up as well.
Drexel's doing a nice job of shifting in and out, making it tough for them to find. Nice save right there by
Zoe
Bennett.
By Bennett, yeah. Right in front was Drexel with the shot, and Bennett with a nice save, with Hofstra with the shot, rather. It's Jenna Budd there with the ball, getting things started once again, and that was a shot, so they're going to start over the possession clock.
Still 50 seconds man up, so they can definitely work this clock, get the shot that they want.
A lot of time here on defense for Drexel, something we saw in the first half, where Hofstra was able to sort of reset the possession clock a couple times with some shots and get that defense a little bit more tired. They worked through it, and another save there by Bennett. With about 30 seconds to go on the man up, Drexel can try and see if they can bleed this. We're going to go in transition, and nice dodge there in the midfield as they try to work to get a shot. They're going to work out this man up clock and get back on even strength here.
It's interesting. I know a lot of coaches like to kind of work out that clock and get to even strength. From experience, there are a lot of opportunities to be had for when you're man down. A lot of mistakes happen when teams double outside their comfort zone, and I think there's opportunity to get goals when people make a mistake.
Especially down 13-6.
Absolutely. I mean, why not? If you're feeling confident, go to cage.
Speaking of going to cage.
Carson Harris took a little bit of a hit right there.
And she'll get it from the arc for a free position opportunity there. Now that we're back at even strength. She's going to take a look at it, and she's going to go low and score. It's Carson Harris making it 13-7. Drexel fighting back.
I think it's important that Carson continues to go. Obviously, she wants to take solid dodges and not go into double teams and turn the ball over. At the same time, when she goes to cage, she's either scoring or she's getting put on the free position, again, scoring there. So it's really important that they continue to attack and not sit back and wait for this game to pass them by.
Just a 6-goal deficit now. It was 12-6 late in that second half before Hofstra scored a goal during that flurry that Drexel had. And once again, Drexel starting the second half very well. They've scored, what, 3 of the 4 goals so far in this half. And like we said, they're going to fight to the finish, and that is something that Jill Batchelor wanted this team to do. She said earlier in the season they played Johns Hopkins, and she said after the game she didn't feel like they played hard to the final whistle. I mean, they did lose that game 17-9, but she said, you know, we're going to fight no matter what the score is. And she feels like over the course of the season they've gone closer and closer to becoming that team that's going to fight no matter the score, no matter the time. And I think they're showing that now in the second half in the first 10 minutes.
And against a team like Hofstra that has all of these scoring threats, I mean, you see Matera again getting a draw control from Perella. They have to have that mentality moving forward because they're not graduating. They're going to see him again next year. So they need to make sure that they believe they can compete in a game like this. They believe they can win and take steps forward because they're going to see these faces next year.
Hofstra bleeding this clock. You know, they've been a little bit slower now as we know with a 6-goal lead, understandable, but looking to try to get into more of that rhythm that they had in the first half too.
Drexel sends a double. You're going to see some cutters coming off right here, especially secondary. Their extra player is actually down low at crease if she can find her.
Yep. So Drexel trying to scramble to find their man again.
But that was a nice set. I mean, it didn't let Matera take that goal or take that drive, didn't allow any of those cutters to be open. So they can make some sets look like that. They can slow down Hofstra.
Perella's going to come back around and get it with 30 seconds on the possession clock and see what she can do. Still looking for her first goal of the second half. She does work for Max. She finds her opening and scores. Alyssa Perella scoring. Or did she? It looks like we do have a yellow card. The goal has been wiped off the board. Dangerous propellant.
Oh, yeah, goes through into the defender, into Rachel Warden.
Hit Rachel Warden in the head with her stick, so no goal. Good defense there by Warden to stay in front of Perella, who we know is very fast. And Drexel now goes a man up with Perella off the field, which I think is more important than anything else.
Yeah.
So Drexel catches a little bit of a break there, and something they didn't get as many in the first half, and sort of getting that momentum back here in the second half too. Down 6 with a nice run to start the second half in his first 10 minutes and looking to cut that lead down to 5. You could hear the ovation from the Drexel side there after that penalty, and I think that's another showing, you know, how spirited they are, and says a lot about this group.
Absolutely, and I think, again, they've done well finding the holes in Hofstra's zone, and now when you're playing man up, there's an even bigger hole. So if they can move the ball well, I think they have a good shot at finding this.
They look a little more confident. I just get that vibe, you know what I mean? Especially on the offensive end.
Oh,
here.
I do. I think, you know, I feel like they're feeling more courageous. They can take the risks. They can take the feeds inside like you see right there. You know, you still have plenty of time, 30 seconds on a shot clock.
That one tipped,
As I say that, they turn it over.
That one tipped and just falls there into the stick of Garosio. It's like Hofstra's going to be able to bleed out the clock here in the man up and take over. They can get the clear.
Yeah.
So they do, with Darcy Smith taking it over, getting it into the offensive zone. It's pushed. They'll play on. Continue with the quick restart there. Hofstra still a man down right now, so still looking to score. And
I think everyone's expecting a whistle, and when you can't expect a whistle, good things don't happen when you do. So it's a nice job defensively from Drexel if they can push this fast break.
They got about 10 seconds now with the man up if they can continue to take advantage.
3, 2, 1.
So they're going to get the penalty just released, so a couple more seconds for Drexel, and they'll have to get back into their set here as they go even strength once again. Drexel, another good stop on the defensive end. Sort of halting this Hofstra offense who scored those 12 goals in the first half and have scored only 1 in the second half.
Yeah, I think that has to be a little bit of a concern for Coach Smith. Obviously, I don't want to speak for her, but
there's a quick move there to the front and a goal. That's Cassidy Delaney, the senior from Ellicott City, Maryland. On senior day, she scores, and the lead is 13-8, 5-goal game.
I think we might be seeing a timeout in the near future. Maybe not right now, but in the near future, Hofstra needs to turn this around. You know, obviously, Drexel is fighting back as we knew they would, being the gritty team that they are. Hofstra needs to show that same amount of grit. These goals right now are just coming, they're not sliding the same way they were in the first half. Obviously, a different goaltender in the cage, but they're not protecting her. Hofstra right now, they need to switch that mindset and be a little bit more aggressive. They're being pretty reactive.
I feel like that she was right there in front of in front, and no matter who's in goal, I mean, she sifted through that Hofstra defense and so quickly that was a beautiful move there by Delaney.
And that's something everyone talks about. Protect your goalie. No matter who it is, protect your goalie. Make them shoot from wide angles. Make them shoot from that pizza pie slice on the corners. Don't give them the paint. You know, any basketball people that have played inside the paint, right in front of the goal, that's really tough percentage for a goalie to make that save.
Perella continues to take the draw controls here for Hofstra. Darcy Smith getting a little bit of a break. She did break a record earlier today, so maybe they're happy with that. She has the single season draw controls record in CAA history, but Perella taking a lot of the draw controls here in the second half. She's been 4th on the team this year in draw controls. 13-8, infraction on Perella, and Drexel will take over, looking to continue this run in the second half. Drexel scoring 5 of the 6 goals in this first 13 minutes of the second half. It's been a different feel, different game.
Yeah, they look inspired. They look like they're ready to play. You know, I think they're taking advantage of the fact that they have a goaltender with a little less experience than Jess Smith. And again, they said it before, they want to finish the season on their own terms.
Something that impressed me, especially looking at the stats about Drexel, is see an infraction there. They have the fewest turnovers in the CAA per game, which I think says a lot about their discipline, and it has kept them close in a lot of these games.
Yeah, especially that's been something that some of the other CAA coaches said was a problem with their team. When we talked to Taos and we talked to JMU, that was something they wanted to cut short.
There's a shot and another goal. This time it's Carson Harris, and Drexel trails by 4.
They're doing the little things well. I give credit to their coaching staff for instilling that mentality from the lack of turnovers to right now fighting to the end. They're doing a nice job. They got themselves back in this game.
So 2 3-goal runs. In the middle of that was a Hofstra goal, so that means Drexel scored 6 of the 7 goals here in the second half after trailing 12-3 heading into that locker room. How about that halftime speech from Jill Batchelor? Getting them going.
Crushing it right now. I think that combined with senior day, you know, this is the way Coach Batchelor wants this team to play. I think right now we need to see a switch from Coach Smith in terms of, hey, how do we want to play? How do we want to play moving forward?
Carson Harris has a hat trick on the afternoon, the sophomore from Grant Mills, Maryland. Talked about her earlier, such a tough player, and she puts, Coach Batchelor said she puts getting tired aside. She doesn't get tired, she doesn't care about it. She just keeps playing, and she's done that, and so is Drexel, and sort of that's been their MO. You know, they just kept on playing today. This is Alyssa Perella and Haley Simpson with the draw control circle this time. So both coaches mixing things up despite their leaders in draw controls, the leaders in the CAA. And Drexel takes this one outright at Simpson, and getting into transition is Drexel looking to cut this lead to 3. And just like we saw Hofstra in the first half with possession most of the time, it's been Drexel. Hofstra hasn't had that many opportunities at all. There's a shot, hits a stick early, and does get into the netting of Grosio. Hofstra will take over here, but they can't get the clear. Just barely goes out of bounds, and Stetson tried to make the nice play that deflected out and get the ball back on the ground ball. So it's 13-9 here at Vitus Field in Philadelphia. About 16 minutes to play in the half. Drexel's made a huge run, scoring 6 of the 7 goals here in the second. Tom Eschen, Liz Robertshaw on the call here in Philly. Hofstra still struggling with this clear and trying to get it into their offensive part of the zone as Drexel's really amped up things and put a lot more pressure on in terms of the ride.
I think you just feel a momentum shift right now. I think that we talked about the teams playing clean and being efficient. I think Drexel's doing that right now. Hofstra's not. So they need their gamers right here with Alexis Matera and Alyssa Perella. They need them to step up and play the kind of game that they know how to play, be sharp, be efficient, get back to some of those dodges, get back to those hard cuts and solid feeds. I think if you can see that, and again, you get Perella getting the ball right here. If you see that, they're going to flip the script because they have that ability to do it, but they need to make that change.
As we talked about so often in the first half, Perella with those 4 goals, she's off the scoreboard in the second half, but there is a shot from deep. Not one of she had a lot easier shots than that in the first half. That was a tough one, and Bennett gobbled it up.
Yeah, Zoe Bennett read that the entire way. There was a great double team sent by Drexel with only 12 seconds left on the shot clock. I mean, Zoe tracked that from the time she started running to dodge.
Wondering as Drexel gets it into the offensive zone if we're going to see Jess Smith back in there in goal for Hofstra as well. She was taken out to begin the second half. She had a great first half with 9 saves. So there could be a possibility we see her once again. I'm not sure.
It'll be interesting to see what Coach Smith does. I think the next possession, if this happens to be a goal, I think that conversation should be happening. But you got to see what they're looking to get out of this game.
Here is Drexel looking to continue this run they're on. Bring it around and
shooting space call, and it's interesting with this, Drexel's now attacking the opposite side that they were in the first half. So they were really trying to expose the left elbow. Now they're going for the right-hand side. But again, they find that shooting space call.
Here is Grady, down 4. Sophomore, we're gonna pause really quickly, and a Drexel player went down there at the end line. I think they're calling a push. Not sure what's gonna happen from this, but that was Grace Osterdale who went down. I think we had a little bit of a bump, for lack of a better term.
We got a little gamesmanship going on, a little CAA love taps here.
I think they're going to move another defender behind the cage here to atone for that since it happened behind the cage. I think that's what the officials are saying right now. I think the officials are discussing things among themselves, and Courtney Dietzel getting her 2 cents in.
Yeah, Dietzel, captain, I think she's listening to what the coaches are saying to the sideline, where they're kind of calling that should be a card for unsportsmanlike conduct.
They're calling the push. Just trying to figure out what's going on, everybody. 14:30 to go. So Drexel gets the ball behind the cage here, and they'll restart. Interesting how that all went down, but there's 24 seconds on the possession clock, so we'll just go from that. 15 seconds on the possession clock. Drexel looking to get it to 10. 8 seconds on the clock. There's Dietzel moving it around. 5 seconds on the clock. There's the shot. Goes past the cage, and it's going to be taken over by Hofstra, who lets the clock go, and the desperation shot, no good.
Yeah, that's you just didn't see them penetrating the way they were in the last couple possessions, where they were driving and collecting those fouls, or driving and collecting those shots. That was a little bit more perimeter. They needed just someone to go hard to cage, whether, Carson Harris needs to get the ball in her stick more often just to keep going. That's something that Drexel needs to get if they want to continue to get back into this game.
Well, I think that whole issue with the officials and everything sort of cut their momentum.
Yeah,
it sort of stopped what they were doing there.
Yeah,
no
they took the
what,
ball off a free position and put it behind cage.
Yeah.
It definitely kind of changes the dynamic of what's going to happen.
Start your lacrosse Saturdays with LSN College Central on LAC Sports Network, beginning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern every week. We'll get you ready for all the biggest games of the weekend from around the country. Don't let the game day begin without checking out LSN College Central only on LAC Sports Network. Alyssa Perella, another tough shot and deflected off of Zoe Bennett's stick, and that's a save, and Drexel takes over, down 13-9 here, 13 minutes to go in transition, trying to get that ball is both teams for the ground ball. Looking for calls as Katie Whalen, and it's Drexel that takes over. Nice pickup there by number 9, Arden Edgerton. Those Hofstra coaches barking out a lot of instructions. We can hear them pretty well here in the booth. You can tell that, that this game means a lot to both teams, despite the fact Hofstra's in the tournament and Drexel, this is their last game of the season, but both teams want to end this. And I think Drexel's gotten almost what they wanted out of this so far today, no matter what happens and the way they fought in the second half. But I think, a win would make things a lot better for the Dragons. And Hofstra, too. Hofstra, as you mentioned, they really want to go into the tournament on a good note.
And that's, I think, where the coaches just want a sharper level of play. This hasn't been the second half that Coach Smith wants for her team going into the tournament, so I think it's a situation that she just wants them to clean it up, wants them to play a higher level of lacrosse game.
So with the ball on the ground, it's going to be Hofstra who takes over there on the turnover for Drexel. "12 minutes to go here in Philly. 13-9 in our CAA game of the week on the women's side of things. The men you saw yesterday with UMass and Delaware. UMass winning that game. That was a great one on the men's side. UMass, the #1 seed, they'll host the CAA tournament, and it looks like Hofstra stepped out there. A few lines on the field, which sometimes can make it confusing depending on who you are. Perello almost with the interception there. The Drexel takes over on offense. Once again, still down 13-9. They've done a good job on defense, holding this Pride team to just one second-half goal. They've done a nice job on offense in the second half.
They have. They've been efficient. They're driving well. They're getting some nice shots off in cage.
Look in front. The turn and the shot. It's wide, but Drexel has the backup with plenty of time to go on the possession clock, and they'll restart pretty quickly here. There, Jarema goes down, but the spin and the fire, are they going to let it go? And they do. I believe they do.
Yes.
The goal is good. Colleen Grady with the score. It's a 13-10 game. Drexel has crawled back into this game. Grady's second on the afternoon.
Coach Batchelor has to be loving seeing this out of her team. They're fighting back. And again, they haven't gone away. We've known that about them all season long, and they're still here. Again, I think this is where Hofstra needs to have that gut check moment. What are we doing? We've got to tighten up a little bit. And they need to end this game the way they want to do it. I don't think they're doing it right now.
And in terms of the confusion there, the goal, I think it's exactly what happened earlier on the other side of the field, where it was sort of the bang-bang, whistle, shot, score, where they let them play on, and the foul wasn't far enough away time-wise from the actual goal.
And one of the things that the Big Ten Conference has done is that all of their officials are connected via an earpiece. So they can communicate that, and they're not looking for each other and trying to figure out signals. They can talk it through. And I think that's something that, when you see plays like this, you might see coming to other conferences.
Well, speaking of talking it through, I believe Hofstra is going to talk it through. And as you see Jess Smith on the left side of your screen there, go take the field. So we're going to see what happens out of that. And as Hofstra leading Drexel 13-10, Drexel with a 7-1 advantage here in the second half. And it's really just been a tale of two halves at that point. Alyssa Perella getting him fired up, as is Shannon Smith, who, as you can tell, wants this one for her team.
I love the fact that you saw Perella get in there and talk first. That just shows leadership. That's awesome.
As Shannon Smith continues to fire her up, it's good to remind everybody that she was a 3-time All-American at at Northwestern, and the NCAA tournament most outstanding player in 2011, 2012, 3 NCAA titles with Northwestern, and obviously she was under the tutelage of a great coach out there at Northwestern and Kelly Monte-Hiller, and she's done it all. And as for her coaching resume, she's been there. She was right out of college and 22, 23 years old, started at Hofstra Hofstra right after her career. This is her 7th season. Started there in July of 2012, and this is their best season since 2015. And this group, I think she likes them a lot. She likes the camaraderie on this team.
She does, and you've seen, as we were on here, you see a passionate Shannon Smith. She holds herself to a very high standard. That comes from playing for Kelly Monty-Hillier, who holds every one of those players at a high standard, and Shannon took that on from day one. As a head coach, and she still has it now. And as we talked about, they don't treat the freshmen like freshmen. She's not going to accept anything less than the best from these players, and she's going to let them know when that's not occurring, which obviously, as we've seen, she doesn't feel like it is. I think you also saw Alyssa Perella go in there and say, this isn't good enough. We need to turn the tide. We need to pick it up and play our game. This is going to be interesting to see how they respond. Is this going to be a team that's just going to say, you know what, you're right, let's move on, or will they continue to get tight? Like you said, we have Jess Smith back in the game. I think that does calm down the defense a little bit more, which would be nice to see. But you also have a momentum shift right now with Drexel feeling confident. They're going to continue to take harder shots and better shots than they did in the first half.
Yeah, and like we were talking about here in the second half, I feel like a lot of these opportunities for Drexel have been better opportunities they got in the first half, regardless who was in the cage. And maybe that'll come with the communication now that Smith's back in there, and maybe that will change a little bit. But we'll see how things sort of stem as Jess Smith has to re-enter this game after she thought maybe she was getting the rest of the day off. So 13-10, Hofstra over Drexel, as Drexel's gone on a crazy run here, 7-1 advantage in the second half here in our CAA Game of the Week. And we're going to get some good play here in the last 10 minutes as we find out what these teams are made of.
And Darcy Smith just set the tone right there, getting the draw control, adding another to her list. But I think that's a good start for this Hofstra team.
You saw Darcy Smith, too, was very vocal in that final little huddle before they took the field. And she's another one of the leaders, a captain, a junior on this team. And we know about some of the records she set as well. And she's going to get them fired up just like a Perella might or even Coach Shannon Smith. So you can see that leadership also coming out in some of these upperclassmen. And that junior class, it's so strong at Hofstra. And with only 5 seniors on this team, 10 freshmen, 8 and 9 that play, you're going to need that.
Isolation right here with Perella. Obviously, we still have the face guard going up with Alexa Matera, but they're looking for Perella to go to cage.
Perella turning with a couple of defenders on her, firing, and that's why, but Hofstra's going to pick it up. A couple of quick whistles here. Here is Ariana Esposito, who draws the foul, and she's going to get a free position out of this with Hofstra up 3 here with 9:39 to play. Esposito takes it out as they're going to milk a little bit of clock. They've got 30 seconds on the possession clock, so we'll see what they do with that. Something they've been doing quite a bit in the second half is milking the clock a little bit and may have taken them out of the rhythm of the offense. Trying to get back in rhythm here.
I definitely think that's tough for any team that likes to play fast, that likes to be aggressive and be super aggressive on attack, just taking shots. It's a challenge for them to slow down because then it's hard to ramp it back up. Obviously, you need your team to be able to do that, but it is a challenge for these college athletes to do it.
Here's Erin Demick, the freshman. She's going to take a look at it and goes low, and she scores, stopping the Drexel run. Hofstra takes a 14-10 lead. Demick's 4th of the game. So Hofstra being able to draw a couple fouls there, get a good opportunity on the free position and stopping that Drexel run following that timeout where we saw Shannon Smith get pretty fiery.
That's definitely what Hofstra is looking for. Again, we'll see what happens in the next possession. If they can keep it going and they can stretch this lead out, I think Coach Smith will feel a lot better about how this game ends. If Drexel can stay in this fight and kind of keep it tight, I don't know if we'll be having that same conversation after.
Not sure how that post-game interview would go if we get a chance to talk to her. So it's 14-10. As you can see, it's been a tale of 2 halves here, but Hofstra able to get their 2nd goal of the second half. Drexel scored 7 to get back in this one. After the first half, it was 12-3 going into the locker room. Now it's 14-10. Both these teams putting up a fight, especially Drexel in this second half. There is Perella getting some help from Darcy Smith in the draw control circle, and that tandem has worked pretty well with Smith, Perella, and Matera in getting draw controls. Here in Vitus Field at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Beautiful day, sunny, a little windy, but 67, 68 degrees out here, which is nice. 9 minutes to go, so Hofstra has a couple possessions in a row, slowing down that Dragons run. Taking that momentum back after the timeout, which seems to have put a little more life in the Pride and maybe get him back on track a little bit. Matera working over the middle, and no whistle as she falls down. Maybe it tripped over some feet there. She wanted a call, didn't get it.
Yeah, they're definitely letting him play a little bit right there, but I think that's, again, we can't wait for whistles. I think every great player knows you just got to keep playing on. This set, though, you can see they're giving Perella a break, and they're letting Matera take it and seeing what she can do, whether it's on a drive, whether it's on a feed.
Matera second on the team this year in goals, third in points. Here's Demick once again. She just scored a couple of seconds ago, and that one's also good. Demick, her 5th of the game for the freshman, and Hofstra takes a 15-10 lead.
Demick scoring 5 goals is huge right now. When the 2 leading scorers can be taken out of a game, that you have a freshman coming in and picking up the slack, that's great. So if they're going to find a positive out of this game, that's going to be something I guarantee Coach Smith can look at and say, okay, she's doing her job. She's focused in. She's not letting anything else affect her. And if we need to find a 3rd goal scorer, we've got one right there.
Yeah, it seemed like Bennett was right there. I just sort of missed it. Right
yeah,
there.
She tucked it right in the corner.
Right, yeah. So after that big Drexel run, Hofstra calls a timeout and comes out of the timeout with a couple quick goals there with less than 10 minutes remaining. So it's 15-10 right now. You've seen, like you mentioned, Demick step up with Alyssa Perella, who has 4 goals in this game, all of those in the first half. Drexel will try to go on one more run. They couldn't exactly get there to be able to get close enough to say they were going to tie it or anything like that, but maybe they have one more run left in them here with 8:20 to go. They do win this draw control, which is pretty big to get possession here and to try to stop Hofstra from adding to their 5-goal lead with 8 minutes left. Drexel's going to have to start working a little bit quicker here than they have been.
Yeah, I agree. I think they don't need to rush. They've been able to find holes, but they can't be draining the clock down to 20 seconds. They should be looking to go probably in the first 45 seconds to give them multiple opportunities on net.
Which isn't always easy
No.
when they've had those opportunities, and they've come a little bit deeper in the possession clock as they've worked it around quite a bit against that Hofstra zone.
Hofstra D is definitely playing a little bit more inspired as well, but that's an awesome
There's
cut.
the
Carson
cutter
Harris.
in the middle, and as you said it, Liz, Carson Harris, what a cut and what a goal, beating Jess Smith as the momentum continues on the offensive end for the Dragons. They trail 15-11. Carson Harris scores.
Carson Harris has a hot hand right now, so she's a player that I would be looking for on cuts, on drives. I mean, Coach Batchelor said she's a gamer. She's proving it right here. So if I'm Drexel, I am looking to hit her with the ball every opportunity I get.
We talked about efficiency for Hofstra in the first half. It seems like Drexel has been just as efficient as Hofstra was in the first half.
Absolutely.
They've been really efficient on offense, and when they've had opportunities, they've been scoring when they've had the ball.
Yeah, this is a good-looking offense right here. Much better than the first half where they were a little, taking tentative shots. They weren't really sure about their driving lanes. This is just smarter. They're communicating better. They're carrying themselves. Just they're standing up a little taller, which looks good. And again, I think I would be looking for Carson Harris every single time on offense.
Well, she has really stepped up, the sophomore, the last couple of weeks. She had 4 goals and 1 assist against Towson and Delaware. So that's 3 straight games with at least 4 goals and 1 assist for Carson Harris, and she's become a go-to player and definitely capitalizing off that and showing as being a real threat for this Drexel Dragons team as a sophomore, which we can't impress upon enough, some of the youth of some of these players on both these teams.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the CAA moving forward. I just think that the players they have coming up in the younger ranks, they're doing some amazing things. I mean, the fact that we've talked about Alyssa Perella breaking CAA records as a junior, not just Hofstra ones, but CAA records as a junior, it speaks volumes about what these coaches are doing in the CAA.
So it's Perella against Haley Simpson here at the draw control. A pretty key one. It's a 4-goal game now. I thought we got a push there. They're calling for a push on the sideline, and it is Darcy Smith with the push. So Drexel will take over. If I could hear them on the sideline, I think the refs could too. So Not that there's any bias there. I'm just
Not
saying.
at all, not at all.
You think the refs ever listened to you, Liz, back in the day?
Oh, God, no. Well, they listened. I don't think they
right.
they weren't taking my advice. As I got older in coaching, I realized it wasn't worth having that fight.
It's a fight that it's a losing battle,
Yes,
I think
you're
is the way
not
to put
winning
it. So Drexel with the ball, down 4, 6:40 to go. Skip pass. Sort of the left alley, left side. Finding the cutter in the middle, that's Harris. It's a little tight there in the middle of that zone, and Darcy Smith takes over. So Hofstra takes over here, looking to clear it with Darcy Smith. Called their name a lot on the clearing game and the draw control game and the defensive side of the ball.
I know between the goaltender, head coach, as well as defender, I'm saying Smith a lot. I'm like, which one am I talking about right now?
Jess Smith and Shannon Smith are the relations. Cousins. Darcy's a captain, so a little bit of a leadership role for each Smith on this team, you know. So Hofstra's to keep on working the clock here as they work through some of their sets and get it to Perella. When the ball's in her stick, it's always a threat. And she hasn't had it as much in the stick in the second half. She's going to get it out to Matera after the infraction there on Drexel.
Yeah, a lot of times when you're face guarding, you can get called for a hold, which is what happened there, hold detaining.
Matera thought she might have been looking for something, and it's like we had a little bit of a check, legal check there, and we're going to get free position.
Matera's definitely looking to go to cage, which is great. You know, I think there's a couple opportunities she can shoot sooner. She's got a great shot. She's really aggressive and quick step. If she can turn that corner and take that shot earlier, I think she's going to find more success.
She has been aggressive in this second half. She'll take it from the left side. She's going to look for her shot. Quick shot there, backed up. She knew she had the backup and takes the shot with 30 seconds on the possession clock. It went wide of the cage, so no reset. Whistle what they'll play on. Shot, though, wide there by Esposito. 18 seconds on the possession clock. Hofstra looking to get a goal. Nice dodge in the middle there. And we're going to get a card. Aaron Demick, who has scored 5 goals on the afternoon, drawing that one.
That's a great drive at crease. Really aggressive. I think that's something that Hofstra's done better this past possession. They're going to cage harder. They're not slowing down. They're not passing around as much. They're going to cage and being aggressive.
No card there. I thought there was going to be one after all the contact. But Demick will shoot and score her 6th goal of the game. The freshman from Maryland has stepped up big time.
She looks confident. I mean, she's been lights out from the free position right there. And I just, again, I can't say enough about a freshman standing up in a game like this when the momentum was turning all Drexel, that I know you have 2 amazing juniors in Matera and Perella, but that a freshman has stepped up and said, I got this, guys. I can take care of it. Just give me the ball. And she's been outstanding.
Been very confident with the ball in her stick. And coming into this game, she had 9 goals in the season. So how about a career day?
She's having a good one right here.
That's pretty impressive. She had a goal and a couple assists against Delaware last week, but just one of those freshmen that we heard Shannon Smith talking about that they put a lot of trust in and haven't babied them and really called on them to step up as leaders on this team. And as you can see by Demick today, she's done it in terms of some tough times here from Hofstra in the second half. They've been under pressure a little bit with Drexel making this run.
Yeah, they have, and I think she's doing a nice job of stopping it, saying, give me the ball, and let's kind of turn the tide.
But scoring 6 goals after having 9 all year long. Drexel takes over here with 5 minutes left. It's a 5-goal game. They've sure have put up a fight in this second half. Seeing if they have one last run in them. Working it around, trying to get the shot off sooner. And there's Jess Smith, who came back into the game a few minutes ago and makes another save. She's now at double digits for the afternoon at 10.
I think that was a little bit of a hurried shot, kind of what we saw in the first half from Drexel. They probably needed to penetrate into the 8 a little bit more to get, I mean, Jess Smith is a great goaltender. You're going to have to take quality shots against her.
So Hofstra will take over, and they're going to try to probably bleed some of this clock here with a 5-goal lead, 4:21 left. With Drexel, it's so efficient on offense for the most part. You really don't want to get the ball back to them anytime soon. Shannon Boyle there getting it back out after she brought it into the offensive goal zone as a primarily defender on this team.
Shannon took a quick look to the sideline to see if she was getting the green light to go to cage or not, and then you saw her stand up and turn around, which coach said no. Give it to the attackers.
Yep.
Nice move.
What a move to the cage there, and guess who? Erin Demick scores once again, 7 goals, and Matera giving her a little bit of love there as well as Hofstra increases their lead. It's a 17-11.
I think she's looking to double up her goals in just one game.
What an incredible performance from Demick.
This split, a little right to left, quick foot, and again, the stick was in a perfect position. She kept it in front of her. Really didn't have a shot right there for Zoe Bennett.
The replays on this one really show you the move she made. Sticking that foot in the ground and getting to the crease and scoring. Her career high going into this game was 2 goals, as you might imagine, with 9 goals, overall in the season in her college career. And now she goes from 9 goals, career goals, to 9 plus 7, 16 goals. 16 career goals just like that.
She plays like this. I can't wait to see what her coach expects out of her next week.
4 minutes to go, and Hofstra has taken more control of this game now in the last 10 minutes, especially after that timeout from Shannon Smith, and as they try to get some momentum heading into next weekend's CAA tournament semifinals against Towson. Which I think we're all looking forward to some of those games next weekend.
Absolutely. I think you're just going to see a battle. Every game is going to be a battle. It doesn't matter what happened in the regular season because every team believes they can win the championship, and I think they're all going to put it out there on the line.
JMU and Elon will start things off at 4 o'clock, and then Towson and Hofstra, that's all on Friday. They're at 7, so looking forward to seeing this Hofstra team play a hot Towson team right now. Towson only losing to JMU in conference play.
And JMU is looking for the three-peat.
Yeah.
They talked about it earlier. The only other team that's ever had a three-peat was Towson. They didn't want Towson to have anything over top of them, so that's something that I know Coach Clay Spockham, they've talked about as a program. They want that three-peat. They want to be aggressive. They want to get back to the NCAA tournament.
Here's Matera. It's bodied up there a little bit with the stick, and we're going to get a card out of that one. So Hofstra will go a man up. Fresh possession clock, less than 3 minutes to play. They're going to probably take as many seconds off this as they can. Subtract 1:30 from 2:56, and what do you get? 120
something.
126. I'm doing a lot of math here that I wasn't expecting.
I was an English major, so I'm not going to help you out. But they get a free, a reset on the possession clock, so I think you are going to see some of that clock wind down.
As for that CAA men's schedule, that was solidified today. It's going to be on Thursday here on LSN. UMass and Drexel, the 1-4 game. That should be a good, decent game, too. Drexel can score in bunches, along with Towson and Delaware. That's a 2-3 game. And Towson and Delaware played a good game a couple weeks ago, actually. And the men's game should be just as exciting as the women's. So CAA, always competitive and always gritty, as they like to say, and exciting. Kind of like this game.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's a 17-11 game, but it doesn't feel like that. In the first half, I would say it absolutely felt like it was they pulled away. Second half, it's been good to see Drexel fight back, and at the same time, it's been great to see Hofstra fight back and show why they're going to the tournament next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Hofstra, I'm sure, in the coming days as they get another goal to sort of put the cherry on top. Cameron Faith this time with the goal. Another freshman for this Hofstra team. It's 18-11. Those young Pride players really coming through. I mean, Alyssa Perella had 7 points, but those were all in the first half. And we've really seen some of these younger players, some of these other players step up in the second half for the Pride this afternoon.
And that's something any coach is going to be happy about. You want to see balanced scoring. You want to see who will step up. It's actually kind of a great challenge. Who will step up when your top players are being face guarded, when your top players aren't playing well? The fact that they have freshmen right now stepping up, that's got to excite the coaching staff. It also fires up seniors. You know, it's one of those things, it takes pressure off of a senior, off of Alyssa Perella, even though she's only a junior, off of Alexa Matera, to think that they have to score when they know that their teammates can do it around them.
2:25 to go, 18-11. A little more smiles on both sides. And you know, you see Drexel, this is their last game of the year. You know they're going to finish the season, 1-5 in CAA play, 6-10 overall. But I think they got, from my perspective, for what Jill Batchelor was talking about, she wanted to be, wanted to see this team compete and get something out of this game. And I think the second half really showed a lot about where this program's going.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like she feels great about the way the program is moving forward. I think the players, you can see how they react to her, how they are still fighting. Again, they take the scoreboard out of it. Are we competing for draw controls? Are we going after it on attack? Are we being aggressive defensively? If you can look on the field and see that kind of competitiveness, that grit, then you're going to feel good as a coach about the way your program thinks about itself and acts, regardless of a scoreboard.
And it's funny, talking to Coach Batchelor, is that here's Grady off the free position. It looked like it might have trickled. No, it did not get past the goal line there. So Jess Smith, by a couple of centimeters, makes the save. And she's had to return in this game after that Drexel run. Just like we were saying, they said they were focused on themselves for this game. It was kind of funny. She goes, yeah, I know. They've got a lot of threats out there with Perella, Matera. But that's good that we're going to focus on ourselves because we don't want to have to focus on all the threats that they're going to give us. And I think in the second half, they showed that.
Absolutely.
90 seconds to go, and if you want to tune in later tonight, Lacrosse Now is the only place you can get a complete roundup from the entire lacrosse world every single night. Lacrosse happens 365 days a year, and we have you covered on every single day with news, highlights, and analysis you can't find anywhere else. Lacrosse Now every night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and a goal here on Lax Sports Network.
The senior Maggie Stetson.
Maggie Stetson gets the goal. Or rather, it's Amanda Guerra,
on
the other side of things. That's Hofstra on that side. Amanda Guerra, her first goal of the year. She's a freshman, and she adds to that Hofstra lead.
Looking at my wrong chart.
Maggie Stetson did score today.
She did.
As a senior.
So we got some freshmen scoring, some seniors scoring.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everybody.
It's Guerra in front of freshman. She actually had 3 goals last week against Delaware, and I feel like every other time we're talking about freshmen. She's someone who barely touched the field to start the year, now is coming on strong, like Hofstra. And I did ask Shannon Smith, when we're talking about teams, girls coming on strong in the last couple minutes of the game here. I asked, so how do you peak? How do you find the right formula to peak at this time of the year? And she goes, I really like the way we're playing right now. We're not going to change too much. We're going to keep them on the same diet, same workout routines, because she likes the way they're sort of flowing and getting things going. So it says a lot about how she feels about how this team's going right now. And I think now that we've seen the full 60 minutes play out, I think she should be proud of how this team's playing. They almost scored 20 goals today.
Absolutely, and I just, you got to do what got you here. So when they go into the tournament, they shouldn't be changing a lot. I do think they're going to address that, 15, 20-minute set where there was a little bit of a lull. So that's got to be something, because against a team like Towson, or if they do get the opportunity to advance against either JMU or Elon, they can't have that if you want to win a championship, which, again, Coach Smith knows because of the games she has played in her career in national championships. So she'll address it, no doubt, this week, but at the same time, I anticipate her pumping up this team, letting them know how great they're playing, and that they can go win it all. And I think with players like Jess Smith and Cage, with Alyssa Perella, with Alexa Matera, they have that opportunity to do it.
Yeah, they can definitely make a run for sure. Can't wait to watch them play in the tournament. Here is Maggie Stetson. Can she get the goal? Deflected there in front. Hofstra will take it out with 35 seconds to play, up 19-11. They'll take it in transition, and they'll probably just sit on it here as the time goes off the clock, and Tara with a little bit of a stumble. Tara's a little bit of a fighter in there, isn't she?
Yeah, she is feisty. She is feisty.
So a good fight here in the second half by Drexel to get back in this game. They were dominating, I think, in that first part of the second half. And then Hofstra, after that timeout, I think they sort of got back to their focus and got back on track as they head to take on Towson next week in the CAA semifinals. This is it for Drexel, their last game of the year. As time winds off the clock, Hofstra winning 19-11 the final. Their final regular season game of the year is a winner. As for Drexel, they'll finish the year 6-10, 1-5 in the CAA. Hofstra improving to 4-2 in the CAA. They're 11-6 overall this season. So once again, your final thoughts on this one, Liz?
I think this was a great game. I'm looking forward to seeing Hofstra-Towson game next week after this, especially seeing a player like Jess Smith-Cage who just looks so solid. And then again, we can talk about Alyssa Perella as well. We should. I'm sure you'll touch up more on her later. But I couldn't be more impressed with Erin Demick, a freshman stepping up when the other players have been face guarded and just really righting the ship as a freshman right there. But this is going to be a Hofstra team that's on the right path going into next weekend's CAA tournament.
So once again, our final score, 19-11, Hofstra with the win. Thanks for watching the CAA Game of the Week here on LAC Sports Network. For Liz Robertshaw, our producer Dylan Hand, and our entire crew, I'm Tom Eschen. Our next CAA broadcast comes Thursday, May 2nd, the CAA Men's Conference Tournament semifinals at Amherst. Our tournament coverage for the men and women continuing all weekend long, starting on Thursday. That's next week. That's all for now from Philly. Let's send it back to the LSN Broadcast Center.
What's going on? Welcome back here inside the LSN Broadcast Center. Finn Sullivan alongside myself, Travis Eldridge, recapping a dominant win for Hofstra as they get ready for the CAA tournament coming your way next weekend from JMU. But Drexel made this thing interesting in the second half a little bit.
I was a little bit uncomfortable there, Travis, watching that back in our office for the second half. Definitely made things a little bit too close for comfort for me, especially at the beginning of that second half. But Hofstra able to pull away.
Don't take your foot off the pedal.
That's right.
Sometimes
lesson learned. Yeah.
Lessons learned here. Let's take you through the highlights in case you missed any of this one. Alyssa Perella in the first half was stellar. Coming into this game, needing just one goal to tie the career record for goals in a career at Hofstra. And, well, she wouldn't waste any time scoring that goal. Here, less than a minute in, Perella, little shake, gets to the middle. Goal number 183 on her career makes it 1-0 Pride. Later on, now 5-0. Let's go back to Perella. Needing one goal to become the career record holder in Hofstra history, and there it is, number 184 of her career. She's only a junior, folks. She's going to pad out the stats, and by the time she leaves Hofstra, likely going to be a record that's going to stay for quite a while. 6-0 at that point for Hofstra. It's now 9-0. Haley Simpson finally getting on the board for the Dragons. Stops the bleeding, makes it a 9-1 game. Later on in the first half, Carson Harris continuing to try to find their way back against this Pride team. Harris threw everybody in a blue jersey. 4 defenders, she splits them. 10-3, 7-goal game. But Hofstra had lots of answers in the first half, many of them coming in the form of Alyssa Perella points. Not only did she have 3 assists, but 4 goals in the first half, 7 points. That goal, her 4th of the game, set the CAA single season record for goals in a season. 82 on the year, makes it 11-3. So Hofstra in cruise control in the first half, but the second half, here comes Drexel. Harris to Simpson. Right there on the doorstep, Haley puts it home. Now a 12-6 game, 6-goal lead for the Pride. Drexel not done. A couple minutes later, now just 10 minutes to go in the half, in the game. Colleen Grady came on the show earlier this week, and you know what? You show up on LSN, you're going to show up in the highlights. All of a sudden, this is a 3-goal game. Hofstra's lead once 9 and 10, down to 3 at 13 to 10, but the Pride saying, no, 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 no. We're not going to let that happen. Just a couple of minutes later, after Hofstra's gotten one to make it 14 to 10, I promise it's coming. Erin Demick putting this thing out of reach. She had 7 goals in this one. The end, a 19-11 victory as Hofstra would pad out with a couple more goals in the final 10 minutes to win by 8. No points for Alyssa Perella in the second half, but still 4 goals and 3 assists is a pretty darn good day. 7 points for her, 7 goals for Demick. A stellar performance as Hofstra now looks ahead to the CAA tournament, and they'll play Towson on Friday down at JMU. Taking a look at where Alyssa Perella now stacks up after the regular season comes to an end. Number 1 in Hofstra history in points in a career. Number 1 in goals in a career. Number 1 in single season goals. 82, that's also a new CAA single season record, and points in a season now up to 100. Special stuff from Alyssa Perella with 7 points today, all 7 coming in the first half. Finn, 100 points in a season is a special
It's a lot.
season.
Yeah.
What do you make of what Alyssa Perella has done throughout this year especially?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, Demick had a great day today as well with 7 goals, but I think in large part, she's initiating a lot of Hofstra's offense on her own, and you know, credit to her for being able to dodge through single, double teams and find her open teammates and really be the single catalyst for this team. It's not like a ACC team where there's like 3 or 4 high-end scoring options. She's really the one that makes it all stir for Hofstra.
And I think one of the things I've noticed this year in watching her play is she's added the ability to set up her teammates, maybe more than she has in past years. A little bit more balance to her game with adding some more assists to her numbers and really using her ability to score to also set other people up.
Yeah, definitely, and credit to you know, her teammates for finding ways to get her open, get her the ball, and then when she has the ball, being able to, you know, cut off ball and, you know, find those open seams in the defense. So she's able to find the teammates, and the teammates have been able to make it work with her.
And that is a big reason why this Hofstra team has kind of turned things around this year. They are headed to the CAA tournament next week. Let's take a look at what that bracket looks like for Friday's semifinals. The Pride finishes as the 3 seed. They gave both James Madison, the number 1 seed, and Towson, the 2 seed, a good game throughout the regular season, but the Dukes and Tigers getting the best of the Pride, so Hofstra falls into the 3 spot. They'll take on the Tigers, the 2 seed in this tournament, in one semifinal. That's the late game in Harrisonburg, just after 7 o'clock on Friday night here on LSN. The first semifinal, James Madison, the defending national champion Dukes, the top seed, they take on the 4 seed Elon, the Phoenix, clinching their spot in the CAA tournament last night with a win over William and Mary. So that game getting underway right after 4 p.m. Eastern. Both these games Friday, right here on LAC Sports Network. Meanwhile, on the men's side, Finn, UMass took things out of everybody's hands last night. They won against Delaware to clinch the top seed and a chance to host the tournament, but still something to play for between Towson and Drexel today on the men's side. This one is a really good one throughout. One thing to note, Alex Woodall, the star faceoff man for the Tigers, out today with an upper body injury that he suffered last week versus Delaware. That will be something we watch, but the Tigers off to a pretty good start, Brody McLean and Jake McLean. But, Finn, we were talking about this at halftime. This Drexel offense so good.
Yeah, they move the ball really well, and they're able to find, you know, sort of easy goals, like guys inside on top of the crease within 5 yards, because they're moving the ball so quickly and so well. They're not reliant on 1 or 2 dodgers to get all their offense for them.
Reed Bowering with a goal. Then there's Marshall King. Drexel would take a lead, but Towson right back at you. Luke Frommer to Brody McLean. 1 goal, Towson lead. They go up 2, but Drexel fighting back. Marshall King to Chris McClellan. Towson's lead down to 1. Then Matthew Varian. All the way through, we're all knotted up at 8 apiece. But 2 minutes to go in the game. Towson with a 1-goal lead. And Woodall's replacement, the backup faceoff guy, Jack McNallen, wins it to himself, doing his best Woodall impression.
Well, I love this story, too, because he's thinking all week, this is my time to shine, step in for Woodall, and doesn't have a great first half of the game or first 3 quarters, and he's still, plugging away, and is able to come up with 2 huge goals to seal this game for the Tigers. So It's awesome to see that.
About 67% of the faceoff went toward Jimmy Koida and Drexel. He dominated the X, but down the stretch, McNallen with a pair of goals. Not only that one, he had 2 in the 4th quarter off of faceoff wins, and that's the difference as Towson gets the 11-9 win. What that does now, as we take a look at the men's tournament bracket, is it solidifies the Tigers as the number 2 seed. If they would have lost today, we would have gone to goal differential. Things could have gotten confusing between...
Bust the calculators out, yeah.
Exactly, between the 2, 3, and 4 spots. But now it's all set. Towson and Delaware will meet, a rematch of the game that we saw at Delaware Stadium last weekend, won by the Tigers. In the 1 versus 4 matchup, it's UMass, the top seed, against the Dragons of Drexel. That was a 1-goal game in the regular season back at the start of conference play. Drexel gave UMass all they could handle. UMass just able to escape there as they let the Dragons back in it in the second half. That one a 5 p.m. Eastern start. The second game, 7:30 Eastern. Both games and the championship on Saturday right here on LAC Sports Network. So, Finn, you look at those matchups. What stands out now that we know what the semifinals are going to look like?
I mean, the margin between these teams is razor thin. Like you said, you think UMass definitely looks like the favorite in the conference,
Yeah.
right? And I think out of those 4 teams that are going to the tournament, Drexel might be, the 4th seed. They're probably the 4th best in the regular season, but 1-goal game during the regular season. So anything can happen. These coaches have all been coaching these teams for a long time. They know these offenses and defenses. So I really think, throw the seeds away. It's going to be really interesting to see both of those semis.
And I know you were a defensive player in college and now, but especially with Drexel, you look at their ability offensively when you have King, Varian, and Bowering and what they bring to the table. What does that kind of potency offensively do for a team in a tournament situation where maybe they're never quite out of the game because of their ability to score?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's the way they score, too. It's fast ball movement. They kind of play in a way that they can score in bunches, like 4 or 5 goals at once, because they're moving the ball so well. It's not like one guy is dodging to the net over and over. So, okay, let's send 2 to him. They have to now readjust. It's really like a smattering of 4 guys, like you said. So it's hard for teams to D up against them like that.
Finally, with Towson, Alex Woodall, whether he's in or out, what's the impact on the Tigers? A team that, look, it's still with what they have, maybe they're in an at-large tournament berth, depending on what they do here in the tournament, depending on what else goes on around the country.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if UMass and Towson were to advance to the final, or whoever those teams are, Towson's maybe a half step below UMass, and that's with Woodall at full strength. So, I really think if they want to win the title this year, they really need him to come back, or they need another huge game from their backup, like McClellan.
Yeah,
if he plays and has a couple more 4th quarter goals, then they could be okay, but you don't want to rely on some magic like that. So.
I like what you said. When Towson's been at its best, it's been when Woodall's winning 60, 70%,
yeah.
And you have Canto making...
That's their recipe this year.
Yeah,
so.
60% of stops in goal. That's been a pretty potent recipe.
Yes, definitely.
For the Tigers this season. You can't wait for the CAA tournament. It all starts Thursday with the men's tournament, Friday for the women. We will see you throughout. We'll also see you tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern for Lacrosse Now. Recap everything you need to know about the day in lacrosse, including 2 great games in the ACC semifinals, another dramatic one in the ACC women's semis as well. We'll recap everything. Lacrosse Now, 9 p.m. Eastern, LACSportsNetwork.com or on the LSN app. But for now, for Finn Sullivan, I'm Travis Eldridge. We'll see you later.
LAC Sports Network is proud to present the CAA Game of the Week. Today, the final game of conference play in the CAA